Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thanks for stopping by. Welcome to RGV Aerial Photography's deep dive into images he captured this week around the shipyard and launch site in Boca Chica, Texas. Our dedicated team will guide you through with the latest updates and theories at Starbase, Texas. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for future streams.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Starbase Weekly. This is episode 32. My name is Mauricio and we have Indian Star here.
Hi, everybody. It's Indian Star. Happy to be here. Thank you, Mauricio, for having me once again. I just wanted to say hi, and I'll throw it over to GB.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? My name is Zach, and thank you guys for being here with us. Sorry for missing last week. I happened to go home and spend some time with the family. Hadn't been home since February, so it's nice to get a little bit of time off. But it's always tough when you're balancing stuff like this to have to make that decision to miss. So hopefully you guys didn't judge me too hard for doing that. And really glad you guys are here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that intro. Shout out to Jeff for the nice intro as always, especially that little bit at the end that he added. He spent quite a bit of time doing that this week. I realized that sometimes, depending on how you're looking at that and on what kind of screen, it could be a little hard because of the way that it transitions. But it took a lot of work to get that looking as good as it does. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Nice little time lapse of both the build site and the launch site. That was really awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's amazing.
Knowing Jeff, I have a feeling he's going to keep working on it a little bit because he really never stops on that stuff. So I have a feeling we'll see more iterations of that. Or there's a possibility he's, freaking out right now because he was planning on being done with that forever. And I just mentioned that he's going to upgrade it. But you never know. So with that being said, we should move on. This is a really exciting week. Usually I like to start with the aerial photos, but we have really awesome news for this week, and that is Mauricio. Well, actually, I'll let Mauricio tell the news.
All right, so we got good news. We got the camera, the Sony A7R4, and it's exciting. I want to thank everybody that supported our camera replacement. As you all know, we had issues with the previous camera of it shutting off mid-flight at over 10,500 feet. Could have been due with the temperatures. At this point, it doesn't matter anymore. We got the camera, so those issues are no longer an issue for the flyover. So pretty exciting. I like the camera. I'm still adjusting to it, and it's you all be the judge of it. So
Oh
JB, you
my
want to
god.
start?
I just don't know. I don't know if it's the camera or it's just the time of day. They were just like it was a setup for this. This is amazing.
Yeah, at this point, this is just not really much to do with the camera. At this point, it's
Time of
Starbase
day.
has yeah, the time of day. Starbase is known for having some of the best sunrises, and it's a good location to take photos, and you get these type of drops,
Man,
pretty often.
I almost wish there was a full stack for this one, but I think this one kind of takes place. This is a really nice wallpaper photo right here for those who like the sunrises.
Dude, it's gorgeous. And it goes
Yeah.
well on a nice wide screen.
So the camera you bought was after the flyover, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. So the flyover images are still with the old camera, and the ground photos, which were taken yesterday, are with the new camera.
Yeah. So we do have some aerials. Mauricio did a flyover on Monday of this week, I believe. So these are from a few days ago, but these are. I mean, you can go. You could fly every single day. You could fly twice a week. It doesn't really matter. You're still going to see lots of changes. So uh, we're gonna definitely have a lot of things that are shown in the flyover images that may have changed in since then, and we're going to discuss all that stuff as well too. Thanks to the ground images, we have lots of nice updated photos of lots of new activities that are going on at Starbase. In particular, we have the chopsticks that appear to be in the process of being upgraded, and the tank farm, as well as obviously the Starfactory and the Mega Bay. We calling it? Yeah. Sorry, it's still hard for me to say. I'm just going to call it Wide Bay. I feel weird every time I say that. So yeah, we have tons of stuff going on today. So I'm really excited for to go through them. I think we should let the audience let us know if we should start with ground images, because we can start with ground images and kind of work in the aerials. It'll be difficult for some areas like the Sanchez site, but it's not impossible. I think there's a ton of ground images to go through. So let's just go ahead and start with those actually, because we have a lot of people who contributed to that. So I want to make sure that you guys are going to get to see tons of ground images today. So let's go ahead and scroll through some of those as we're getting started today. And as always, as we're going, Iniestar, do you want to let them know how to ask questions in the chat? Okay,
Did
I
you
can do
say
that.
Mauricio or Indian
I
Star?
said Indian Star.
Oh, of course, I would love to. If you want to ask a question, we invite you to ask any question you like that's about what we're talking about on topic, ideally. And all you have to do is enter question mark, the word question, and then you put a space, and then you type your question. So exclamation point, question, space, what is my name? That's your question, for example. That's good, right? And happy birthday to
And
Nick Lovell. Today's Nick Lovell's birthday, and he's in the chat. Happy birthday, Nick Lovell.
yeah, these. So we got to take a a little sneak preview of these pictures last night, and it's really awesome just seeing the immediate quality difference in these. And I'm really excited for next week when we get to also see the aerials. But I think this right here is looking into tent one. Uh,
Tent one
yeah, tent
or
one,
four?
right, and it has a few booster sections inside of it. I think this may be a starship section in front of it, but uh, you know, just being able to see deep into these tents. This right here is not. Let me keep scrolling through these. Oh shoot! I didn't realize I was going to switch right over to the next one. Actually, hold on. We have the panoramic photos that Mauricio took um, from this week, so I'm going to show those really quickly once I grab them.
Those
Just to
panorama.
note,
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, just a heads up on this. It is my first time using the camera out there at Starbase, so I'm still at a learning curve as far as adjusting to the camera itself. So some shots might not be the best, but just rest assured they'll be a lot better next time.
You're such a good dude. You take amazing photos no matter what you do, first of all. And secondly, your photos will only get better because they're amazing now. It's very nice of you to say what you just said, in my opinion.
It looks like I do not have the link to the panoramic photo.
I will
Let's
get that for you. But anyways, you
sorry
were
guys.
saying?
We do have this yeah, continue, Mauricio, sorry.
He was just
So
saying.
no, that's basically it. I think if you, yeah, I think an insert will send. If not, I have the link here. I can just send that over to you. And just to emphasize, the panorama photo is a stitched image of several images. Not really sure how many it was, but between 4 and 6 images. But it's just to give you an example of the resolution that you get with this new camera. And
There you go.
it's a pretty good camera. I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty good camera.
He says that very modestly.
I-
Yesterday, he was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." We were all like that.
So this easy zoom side is a little difficult to use, but whoa.
This is amazing. Like, we've never seen detail like this. This is so cool.
Yeah, this last night this was looking a little CGI to me as we were zooming in on some of this stuff. But you can see a ton of detail at the top of the starship up here. I think this is my max zoom, which is perfect. I don't think we need to go in a little bit too further from there. Um, yeah, this is just amazing, the quality on this.
I mean, down to the detail, you can see which ones are broken. You can see all sorts of things.
Wait, there's broken ones?
No, not on that one. That's 24.
I
I'm just saying, if there were.
was about to say. I hope not. Yeah, you can even see just the difference in the height of some of these tiles too as you get in closer. All the little fingerprint uh, marks all over the tiles. I can't wait to see it after reentry, honestly.
When it's all dusty and sooty. That will actually be
Yeah.
cool. And all the white stuff is that glue, right? The dry
Um,
powder glue.
well, I'm actually not sure on that. It just looks like dust, so I don't think there is glue. I'm actually not sure on these ones right here that it could be glued on. Uh, that would be a question for Jax or one of the other Starship super nerds out there. I'm a little bit more concerned with stage 0 until we get to orbit, so I don't really pay attention to a lot of these like Starship related details as much because they can keep changing over and over again, but we still haven't launched yet. So to me, I'm really focused on the things that get us actually into space, which obviously you need a ship to get into space, but really who knows which one it's going to be at this point. If you guys haven't heard, Booster 8 is moving around in the Mega Bay today. There's uh, it looks like it's maybe about to come out the front door. We're not really sure. They did a pretty weird I don't even know what you want to call it. Pretty weird maneuver with Booster 9 last night. They actually lifted 2 sections of it at the same time to get it out of the way. I'm guessing to move Booster 8 out because it was Booster 9 was in the middle of the Mega Bay. Matter of fact, we can let's hop into that image really quick and just show it if I can grab one really quick. And that's on the wrong side of the wide bay.
While you do that, I just want to give a shout out to Samsung 0804 who gave a $5 donation. And he's saying, or she is saying, any way we could get some photos of the same area with both the old and new camera? I'm curious to see just how big the jump in quality is. Funny you should ask that, my friend. I know that that's something that's in the works and will probably happen next stream. We're definitely going to do the side by sides and show you guys what's up because it is almost like night and day. It really is. I think the first one was 24 megapixels, Mauricio?
That is correct. That was in the works to try that this time around, except when I said that, I didn't anticipate how changing bodies out in the dust was I didn't consider that. That would actually be I didn't want to get sand in the sensor, so
No, yeah,
I did
don't.
as little changing the lenses as possible, and I think we are gonna try and do that, but in a controlled setting, like inside my truck, where there's not that much debris flying around. So, but definitely, I won't be doing that during the flyover just because of
Yeah, please
how
don't do
difficult
that.
it might be. Yeah, and that's the only thing. But yeah, we should
Um,
definitely do that. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna drop the Easy Zoom link here on the chat here shortly, so you guys can play around with it. It's not released yet, so just it's one of the perks of watching it live, I guess.
Exclusive,
so,
exclusive, exclusive.
but before we continue, I just wanted to show this from last night, just so anybody who hasn't seen it can see what I was talking about here. This is Booster 9 in the wide bay. I think Jax was the one who noticed this last night,
Oh yes,
and
Jaxie was the one.
I'll just let it speak for itself first. Wow. All
We need
right.
to put
So
this to music.
yeah, I should have thrown some music behind this when I put this together. But basically, you have um, the booster methane section being lifted up together at the same time with I'm guessing a four ring section for the remaining part of the methane tank, which kind of surprised me because I didn't realize, while they're stacking these, the methane tank always looks way bigger than it does once the entire thing is completed. So I don't know. This just to me looks like that's too long to also be a part of the methane tank. But people who pay attention to specifically the boosters a little bit more than I do uh, are pretty sure that this is the lower part of the methane tank, which would go on top of the common dome section of the LOX tank. So not really sure why why I'm not even sure how they did this because initially I was assuming maybe there's a second load spreader up top that's allowing them to also lift this one through the bottom, but there's a dome on top, so you can't really do that. So I'm not really sure how this is rigged up for them to lift it this way. I really wish I could have been there to watch this happen like in person because not only is it kind of hilarious, but it's just really confusing what's going on, and I would love to know what the actual um, the actual manufacturing benefit that's coming out of this. Um, but we, I guess the best thing that I've heard so far to kind of explain this is that while you are, and maybe I'll just go to an aerial in order to show this one. Um, let's see, wrong one. So while you're lifting tank sections inside of the bay, you're usually going to have to actually lift up. Let's see a ring section first. A good example of this. So if you were trying to stack this, the methane dome on top of this, you would have to first lift this with the crane into position, and then you release the crane, and then lift this section up and stack it on top. So instead, if you lift this section up, move it above the other section, attach it to that section, and then lift both of them to the final location, then you lower them down one at a time and then place the other one on top after it's fully seated onto the transport stand. Um, and then you only have to do basically half the amount of lifts that you would have to otherwise. Uh, so I'm guessing it's something like that, but I'm honestly shocked that they've already reached that point where they need to start doing stuff like that. Um, I mean, we do have three boosters inside of the Mega Bay currently, but they're two of them are complete, and the other one is in the process of being stacked. So, uh, I mean, if the thing about the wide bay is that if you while you're working on the booster, if you need to enter the methane tank or the LOX tank, then you have to depressurize it, and then most likely support it from above with the bridge crane. So as long as you're working on the inside of this, I guess that bridge crane is inactive. So that means that if you were also trying to work on the inside of booster 8, for example, because this is booster 7, if you're trying to work on the inside of booster 8 at the same time, then you wouldn't be able to, because you would also have to be supporting it by the crane. So instead, you have to tell everybody to get out, pressurize booster 7, and then try and get whatever action you need to do done with the bridge crane as quickly as possible. So stacking it in the way that they did, I guess. So as quickly as possible, do that in one lift instead of 3 or 4, and then I guess get back to whatever they were doing with booster 7. So I don't know. That's kind of just a first guess on why they would do something like that, but it is really interesting to see the manufacturing process inside of Starbase evolve now that they've have this much larger um, facility, or much larger structure to um, assemble boosters in. But yeah, with that being said, I guess we can go ahead and start in our normal location, and I am going to phase in some ground images at the same time. I did want to circle back to this one of ship 24 because we were looking at it from the rear previously, I believe. So I do want to show it from this front side because we finally have a nice picture of ship 24 with the flaps open. So this is the first time I believe we've seen 24 with its flaps open, if I'm not mistaken.
You are not
Ever
mistaken.
paint job.
I'm pretty sure
So
that's
yeah,
the
this
first time.
looks like a tuxedo.
Which goes well with the whole idea that it's a penguin, a king penguin.
This is looks really good. You know, at first I didn't really like the paint on the sides, but it's definitely been growing on me ever since I've, especially now seeing it with the flaps open.
Mm-hmm. The
The
flaps.
bottom is a little bit boring, I guess, but
What you
these
mean
look
the
like a
bottom's
pair of
boring?
these look like a pair of suspenders right here. No?
No, they do. They definitely do. It just means he has a really long neck, so or she is a giraffe of some sort.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
This is this is a definitely an amazing shot right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is more of a wallpaper for a cell phone, given that it's vertical. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe Mauricio will release this one as a wallpaper as well. So with that,
Yeah, we can do that. I can work on that and have those ready by the end of the stream.
Yeah.
awesome.
If you have a sunset one like that too, that'd be amazing. Just saying.
I don't think he was out there long enough to catch the sunset. I believe these were in the morning.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, that's right. He went early in the morning, didn't he?
yeah, you got to make a decision. The aerials, I believe these were taken sometime around noon, right?
Yeah, they were taken around 11 a.m., 11:30 ish. There's actually, I was gonna tell you, I'm gonna send you a link of a panorama that I did from an aerial perspective that shows um, the whole area of Starbase in relationship with South Padre Island, Port Isabel, and Masseys. I know somebody was asking,
Nice.
or actually several people were asking, how everything is um, in related to each other, in reference to each other. So let me send that over to you here. Give
Okay.
me a second.
While you're sending that over, I'm sure we may have touched on this last week. I wasn't here for it, but we have the nose cone jail that was moved over to the Macy's site, and it looks like they're doing even more expansion on the gun range. So not really sure. Um, I'd have to recheck last week's images actually, but I don't think they were working on this part of it last week.
No.
But you can kind of tell that obviously they're in the process of doing so right now. Let me see if I got it. Okay, that's not what I meant to do. Nice to see the sun coming over this cloud right here. So yeah, they're in the process of grading this down. I don't know if this is going to be um, maybe like a larger like parking and reception area, so they can actually have more people here at one time. And then you have a shorter range right here. But yeah, I mean, they're definitely doing a lot of manicuring on this. I guess this would be the driveway to go around. So they probably um, are going to expand this all the way over.
And they're keeping the actual gun range part where that horseshoe of berm is, right?
This,
Yes.
yeah, all of this is brand new. So they're
But they're
it looks
keeping
like
that
half
for the.
that's done. What was that?
I thought they were keeping that part for the shooting range.
Yeah,
And
all
then
of this is the shooting range.
the left side, I thought they were doing for SpaceX stuff. No?
Um, well, everything on this side of the berm will all be a part of the shooting range still.
Okay.
So this is all of their property pretty much. Then they have
Mm-hmm.
like a pretty clear dividing line almost of where the SpaceX storage yard starts.
Mm-hmm.
So looks like there's not as much change over here this week. Again, we do have all of this dirt which is being piled up, and I'm kind of unsure about where this is coming from because it's a lot of dirt and there's multiple options for it. And I think we're going to touch on that a little bit later. But they've been doing a lot of dirt removal specifically at the launch site. So there's a few options for where they're putting that dirt, but we'll kind of discuss that a little bit later.
I like
Um,
how organized everything is. Look at the color coding of the white boxes and everything.
yeah, with the Sanchez lot was never and is never going to be this organized. We can actually just take a quick look at it right now from the wide angle. Um, the Sanchez site is a mess. Specifically on the left side, it's getting. But you know what? So this week they moved this tank from this location all the way to the it's like way over here by the entrance of the mega bay. Actually, we're gonna look at a long distance one to show to show where they moved it. So, and we're jumping all over the place today, guys. Sorry,
It's a
we don't
smorgasbord of
have.
pictures. There's
Let's
so many
see.
pictures with this new camera that I don't think anybody's going to mind. Even in that picture,
So,
look at how clear these are. These are amazing.
well, this is with the old
These are
camera
the
still,
old
but
camera, yeah.
yeah.
It's still amazing.
So this tank right here got moved from this location all the way over to basically right here in front of the wide bay, and I'm not really sure why they did that. I mean, obviously they were trying to get it somewhere where they could lift it onto a truck and then transport it out. But I feel like well, I guess there's not really that much space for them to do that here. If you kind of also look from that, from this view, I have no idea how they got it out of here in the first place. I'm guessing some major clearing happened in the time between when Mauricio took this picture and when they moved that tank. I'm guessing the shortest path was probably getting it through here somewhere, maybe even having to remove this tree. Um, I don't even know if that tree's still there. We can probably see it in the ground pictures if it's not. But yeah, quite the job to get that out of there. And it looks like that project is no longer happening at Starbase. So whatever they were initially going to use that for, which we were assuming was the methane or natural gas purification plant to produce pure methane. Uh, Obviously, the first two of these got moved about, I don't know, I want to say 4 or 5 months ago, if not longer. And the this one has been just sitting here for a while, so we didn't know what was going to happen with this. And apparently, it may be going to McGregor, but yeah, it was sitting, I believe, on a few. I don't even know what it was on top of that allowed them to get the SPMTs underneath it and transport it out. But from there, they needed two cranes in order to lift it onto a much larger truck and ship it out. And I think we actually have some pictures of that truck as it was leaving. Um, I believe Kevin Randolph got a really good image of it, and it's worth showing because this truck was actually really amazing. Let me see if I can
Chiefy chief.
find it for you guys really quick, unless somebody else is faster to it. But in the meantime, I'm going to pull up this other image from Mauricio, which, well, I guess all of these are from Mauricio, but that link didn't work for
Overhead,
the easy zoom.
the aerial
There
one.
you go.
Oh, okay, so I gave you another one. It's the things I had to delete the old easy zoom to make room for this one,
Holy
and
crap.
this one's a lot better because it's labeled.
Did you
Oh
get
man,
Not
we
like
started off with this one.
okay, so I guess I'll explain here just a little bit what's going on. So we
Where
got
do you want to start? Left or right?
I could start left, South Padre Island. So one thing I did want to see is a lot of people don't know the layout of how everything is in relation to each other. Like for example, here South Padre Island, there's the northern end of Starbase, and this is typically where everybody usually stays. Especially if you get for a rocket launch. Now, if you go to the very southern tip of South Padre Island, which is you can point at it there by the ship channel.
Sorry, over here.
Actually, I don't see your mouse.
Oh, let's see.
There. Yes, that part right there. That part is Isla Blanca Park. So that's usually where you want to watch the launches from. That's the best spot by far, in my opinion. It does get a little bit crowded, so you might want to get there early. So
And that's
now
right
it's
here.
yeah. So all the whole coast of that southern tip, you're able
Gonna
to
see the
watch from.
distance that is from Starbase over here, or the launch site.
Yeah, it's more or less 5 miles, more or less from the launch site to South Padre Island.
Wow.
That's probably the closest you can get to watching the launch from. That's where everybody goes to. Now you can also go to Port Isabel, which is
We have the Sapphire condominiums here, right?
right, and just for reference, that's about the same height as the OLIT. It's more or less. I think the tower for the launch site is actually a little bit taller than that.
Yeah, I think a full stack without being on top of the launch mount is about this tall. 35 stories or something like that, I think. I don't know how many stories actually that building is, but this is the building that the Sapphire Lab Padre Sapphire Cam is. That's why they call it Sapphire Cam. So sorry, moving to Port Isabel. Oh my gosh! Like if I get a house anywhere in south in this area, it would probably have to be on Port Isabel.
You mean when
Also,
you get a
probably the most
house?
expensive.
Because we all know you're moving to Boca Chica at some point.
You never know. Did you want to talk about this area, Mauricio?
Well, Port Isabel there's actually not that many places to watch the launch from at Port Isabel. There's some properties might be able to be on public property, but you see all that coast right there. That's private property, so you're not going to be able to get access to all that on
Right.
yeah, all that. So I think the best there's some public spaces, some easements you can pull over, but you're not going to get the best view as
Right.
South Padre Island. That's a private community, the one that you're pointing at. So there's no access to that unless you have a property there or if you have an invitation from one of those homeowners.
So I'm not going to say who it is, just so for their own privacy, but there are a few people who live in here specifically. Uh, what? I believe it's in this area. I'm not really sure. It might be this back one, but basically they have a really good view of the launch site from the back of the house, which is kind of awesome. I mean, on a clear day, you can see the launch site from the back of the house, and it's one of these ones over here. But yeah, living on that island is pretty awesome. Definitely expensive though. If you were trying to view a launch here, you would basically have to know somebody who's there. Essentially, you wouldn't be able to actually just go there and watch a launch from there.
And I mean, so that we have the launch site on the left, and it is labeled, and then we on the right you got the build site, and
Wow.
you can see both of these sites from South Padre Island, especially as you're crossing the causeway. You can clearly see all those, but obviously you can't set up at the causeway to watch the launch. There's no I'm not sure you're. I haven't never seen pedestrians cross through there, but anyway, so yeah, it's not that far away. And then on the right side, this is what everybody's been asking me for. Where's Massey's in relationship to the build site? And that's Massey's right there, that little speck.
Yeah. So it's a pretty good distance away. And did we? I don't think Rocket Ranch isn't visible in here, is it? It's even further out, further down.
I think it's further away, Rocket Ranch, but there's an outpost where you can watch it. It's I should have labeled that. I should probably get to labeling that particular part. But Rocket Ranch has one of the best views of the launch. I think it's a lot closer than South Padre Island, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
But it's in question whether or not they're going to be able to watch it from there because of the. What do you think? Are they going to, for the restriction, is it going to extend further out than the hops, or you know?
Um, that would be a better question for Thomas. He's kind of done a lot of overlays of where that exclusion zone is. I'm not 100% positive what it looks like. Um, I know that it does reach into South Padre, so I'm assuming that if it does, then it probably is approaching to touch Massey's, if not already touching it. Um, but yeah, I think we'll have to answer that one when I have Thomas with that overlay, so that we can get a better idea of what that looks like. But with that, I guess I'll just finish up over here really quick.
And while you do that, I just want to give a quick shout out to House at Treaties. Forgive me for butchering that last bit. They were able to donate $5 Canadian and says one bonus to being stuck at home with COVID is finally getting to watch the RGV live stream. Laugh out loud. Keep up the great work. So, first of all, sorry you have COVID. Hope you are feeling better. Hope you get over it quickly. That's the biggest thing. We're glad you're here. I know I am. And thank you for your donation.
Oh, interesting. Um, I wish I could see this from another view. This looks pretty important. That might be. I love seeing things get delivered on these trailers because it's it's not been sitting here for a while. So that could be one of the pistons that was removed. Um, but I'm not really sure. So I do have a picture of this. I'm gonna hold off until I figure out where it came from. I do have a picture of the absorption column that we were mentioning before leaving the site, but I'm trying to figure out exactly who posted it so I can properly uh, mention them once I show it. But until I figure that out, let's go ahead and move on to the Sanchez site. So, as we as we've mentioned before, obviously there's another booster transport stand being worked on currently. Um, well, actually, sorry, let me restart from where I was talking about before. So now that this is gone, um, I'm gonna get a better view of it. So now that that absorption column is gone, um, I don't know if they're going to need any of the other. Well, obviously they shouldn't need any of the other material related to this facility that this was going to be uh, constructed with this. So I don't know how many of these large pipes and all the additional framework, all the other equipment in here was meant for that facility, but anything that's related to this facility, I imagine, will be moving soon. They just chose to get the largest item out first. So if it's getting sent to McGregor, that would kind of make sense if they were trying to make their own methane at McGregor. That would make a lot of sense. I'm still surprised that they don't need it here, but um, I guess it's just not in the works currently. So yeah, I do believe we'll see a lot of this equipment that's related to it. I think a lot of these larger frame pieces in here are meant for that. And there is a possibility that these two large tanks on this side are probably meant for that facility as well, because you're probably going to need, if you're producing um, if you're producing pure methane, then you also need to be able to have a place to store both the um, liquid natural gas that hasn't been processed and the purified methane um, product that comes out of the facility once it's processed. So I got a picture from Kevin Randolph showing the trailer that
The commodity tank was on, that they rolled it out on.
so this is a picture of it right here. It's a pretty long tank.
Pretty
Or
long
sorry,
truck.
trailer. I thought he had a picture of it while it was on the trailer, but
So
I guess
there
not.
is there's a third one where it has the smiley face in the back that you can see. If you look in the bottom
Right
right.
before they actually put it on, yeah, you can see them right here
Yeah,
lining
that
it
one.
up for the two cranes so they can lift it onto the trailer. Yeah,
So
that's a pretty serious trailer. This thing touches the ground when it's fully loaded.
Oh wow, it's that heavy.
so when I was out there, I mean, you noticed first you were showing the images of it at the Sanchez site, and in this image here, it shows it. Well, when I was out there too, I was out there at the same time, and I saw it in front of the Starfactory. So did they do that just to get it easier to load it to the trailer, or what's one of the purpose? What was the
When it was
purpose of?
lowered down. Are you
Yeah,
are you
because
asking when it was lowered?
okay, so they moved it from. So what they did was they moved it from Sanchez to the in front of the Star Factory, and then they took it away, right?
Right.
All right, got it.
So I think the reason they may have done that is because all of their cranes were busy, and the two cranes that they use, you can kind of see Grover right here in the front, and then there's the gray Buckner crane. I forget what we named him, but uh, they tandem lifted this tank onto the trailer. So the other crane is usually busy working inside of the mega bay. So I have a feeling that they didn't want it to have to leave and go all the way over to um, the Sanchez site just to do that job while they kind of needed it. So that's the only reason I can think of to make sense why they would bring it all the way over here just to do that operation. But there's really no way for us to know the official
Does it
explanation.
have anything to do with the bridge cranes that came in? No, right?
Um,
As far as why they did it, where they did it, the location.
I don't know. I mean, did they? Let's see. I don't think we can see them in this picture. I think we have some ground images of them
Mm.
that we can show. So those of you who don't know, the first bridge crane sections um, of the Mega Bay arrived recently. I'm trying to see if I can find that image really quick.
I'll help you.
There's a lot of pictures to scroll through to get this one. Maybe it might
Yes.
be
If you're a
in.
Patreon member, you're going, or a YouTube member for that matter, you're going to be in heaven. He took how many pictures, Mauricio, this time? 200 and some?
It's not 200 some gigabytes just
Okay.
in raw images at the launch site. So it's
How many images were there? I thought we were at 252 or something like that.
right 252, but I took way more than that. I don't think I released everything just because of how much time it takes to import 200 gigabytes of images into Photoshop and adjust the settings and all that. It
It's all right.
just
Next time we'll just start you way earlier in the day so we can get the full barrage. Because
yeah. I
YouTube,
mean, for once,
go ahead.
no, for once, I think that's not a bad problem to have in this case to
Right?
have
Too much
such big
content.
images to yeah, and also the information on the what I'm referring to is the size of each image is over 100 megabytes. So compared to the Sony A7 III, it was about 40 some megabytes. So it doubles in size. So I'm gonna have to get a hard drive for that.
Yes, you must get a portable hard drive, an SSD for the fastest. stuff, but that's going to be pricey as all get up. Anyways, the
All
other
right,
go ahead.
I'm gonna give up looking for that because it's just too out of order. We will touch on that when we get to the wide bay. Um, we'll work our way over there. It's kind of hard to skip that far ahead. Uh, but sorry, did we have any questions that you wanted to touch on before I continue?
They're questions, but they're questions, but they're not necessarily about what we've been looking at so far. There's some questions about booster. There's a question about Raptors. There are a few questions about Raptors, and then the BFC is asking if the BFC is still there. So we aren't
Uh,
in those places yet. I can hold off until you get
well,
there.
the BFC is still sitting here, so not a lot of movement with that. It's still in the same position, waiting to find a new home. Yeah.
And then, do
Sorry,
you
what
want
was the
another?
second?
The
Did you
most,
say it was related to Raptors?
yeah, there's a few related to Raptors, and then there's one really, really important one.
Let's do the important one because we'll skip the Raptor one until we get to the launch mount.
So this question comes from Astro Joe Orge Jetson. He asks, when Sunny pick?
Hmm.
Oh, I thought,
Well,
I
Sonny was exhausted, so I didn't want to bother. He was taking naps towards the end of the Starbase ground photo trip, so I didn't want to bother him. I just let him sleep through it. So we'll get Sunny picks um, next week for sure.
Yeah, I scrolled through these looking for it and I wasn't able to find it, so I was like, okay, I guess it's not here. Um, and I was looking for a ground image of the transport stand so we could see where it's at currently, but as you guys can see, I just briefly mentioned it. The transport stand is nearing completion. Not 100% sure why they need it because they could finish scrapping booster 5 and release that transport stand to be used pretty quickly. And also we ideally should have an orbital flight soon, so booster 7's transport stand will become available. But I guess in the event that neither of those were available, this would be for booster 9. Um, so I guess they would need that rather quickly. They do tend to time these up with the um, completion of a booster. So like this will be done and moved to the wide bay like 3 days before they need it for full stacking. So this we always keep an eye on these just so we know when that full stacking is going to occur. um, so a funny thing to point out at the bottom of this image is these trailers which are just sitting here, and the reason that's funny is for the reason they're here. So if you guys have seen, I actually think it left location by the time Mauricio did his ground images. But we do have a good shot of it in this picture. So this crane right here, it's a TNT. I don't know what their full company name is, but it says TNT on the side. So this crane is an extendable boom crane, and it has a additional boom added onto the end of it, which allows it to basically lift loads really high, but not a lot of weight. So initially, they actually disassembled this, and it was sitting at the in front of the Sanchez site, waiting to be transported away. But then I think they forgot that they needed to lift all of those windows up into this building, so they brought it back and reassembled it, lifted all the windows up, and now I believe it's gone. So if we return back to the Sanchez site, all of the trailers that were on the side of the road down here, um, in the previous image, I suppose, all of these trailers are now gone. I believe they packed it up and left already. So they must have been in a rush to get to another job. And if the windows are late, that's not really their problem. I'm guessing they just planned to leave because they had to be somewhere, but luckily they were able to get them to stay. And I don't know the official story with this. I'm just explaining how these things go down when in my professional job, seeing this stuff happen, because contractors will leave if they're supposed to be somewhere else and another third party contractor is slowing them down, they'll just leave. So luckily, I'm guessing they probably have a good relationship with SpaceX and they were able to get them to stay if that is in fact what happened. So moving on, I'm going to skip this for now because we're going to touch on this a lot later. But basically, this is manifold that we mentioned last week, and they actually have made a lot of progress with this. So I'm going to touch on that once we get there. But I could spend a ton of time scrolling through all of the stuff on the ground at the Sanchez site, but we have a lot to cover today, so I'm going to try and move through it rather quickly. I'm just making sure that there's no major items that I am skipping over. Still have everybody asks every single week what's going on with the claws. The old version of the claws are still sitting at the Sanchez site, so maybe one day we'll get new claws, but uh, still kind of up in the air on that one. I'm actually been looking out for the new set of the new GSE arm that's being constructed at the Kennedy Space Center, just looking for signs that there will be a claw on that one. But I don't think it's too early in the assembly of that to actually see whether or not it's going to be there. But maybe now that I mentioned it, somebody might find something that I missed. So with that being said, I'm just double checking, as I said before, to make sure that I'm not skipping anything over here. Um, oh, yeah. So we do have this area that we touch on pretty much every week. And as you can see, the dirt pile has gotten even larger. I don't know if Mauricio had a ground shot of that one this week. I didn't see it when I was scrolling through the images.
Yeah, there should be. It's still
Did you do it towards the end of the?
yeah, probably. It's towards the end of the gallery. You might be able to find it there. If not, we'll send it over to you in a bit.
Got it. So here's a nice shot of it from the ground. Looking at it, you can kind of. This was a few days after Mauricio did the flyover, so I think this pile of dirt or gravel actually shrank down. But you can see all the different layers of this. You have just a regular appearing dirt plus actual rocks just on the exterior, and then you can see how much higher whatever the surface on the interior is. Um, and going back to that aerial, you can also see on the side of this image that they're setting up um, drainage. So this drainage, I'm not sure. I think it starts right here. Oh, there's a second one. Okay. There may be a second one in the ground along this line.
Those are
Yeah, okay.
for
There it is.
drainage. They're not just culverts that they're going to put pipes in through.
Um, well, I think this might be drainage because of what it normally looks like when they do stuff like this. So I would have to, I can just skip forward a little bit and show you guys kind of what I'm talking about because it's helpful to actually see the difference.
That would be cool.
So in this image, or not this one, probably this one. Oh, I know where it is. Sorry, guys, kind of all over the place.
You're fine, GP. Good
So
things are worth the wait. Sorry.
near the Starfactory, and I'm not even gonna show that building yet, but this is what it looks like when they're um, laying down conduit for um, electrical and like data lines. Also, this is what it looks like before they cover it up. So you can see that there's no pipes. There's just the actual conduit, and then I don't know if they wrap it with something. I'm guessing this is a wrap, and then they just bury it or pour cement over it. I don't think they pour cement because you actually want to be able to get back to it if you need to. So this may just be some sort of wrap. and I'm sure somebody in the comments will know the answer to that one. So I will keep an eye out on that one. um, but swapping back over to Sanchez one last time. Yeah, they have two rows of this, and it looks like, I don't know. These look like standard water drainage pipes to me, except for the fact that I can't see any hard connections anywhere. I don't know how these actually slide together, but um, and I also don't know why you would need two sets of drains next to each other. But yeah,
Because
I
they're
guess we'll.
pipes. Just kidding. One for methane, one for locks.
Yeah, so I think we're getting a little bit closer on this site to actually seeing what they will use it for, but we're definitely not there yet.
It's the fun that they have in store for us that's worth the wait. Wow, look at that. It's almost like one of those sand designs that you made when you were in school. I don't know if you made them. We did.
Stand what?
Those sand designs that you put in the bottle with colored sand and you pour a little bit
Oh
of the
yeah,
different. Yeah,
yep,
that one.
yeah. We got a ton
Wow.
of dirt over in this area. This is something that we used to see all the time at the launch site, but now they've kind of covered everything in concrete, so you don't have this problem. But this is what happens on a windy day. It blows all of the dirt from down below up into um up into sorry, blowing this dirt over here up into the farm over there.
Well, and then they had that sandstorm too, I believe, right? Mauricio, a couple weeks back, maybe a couple months now.
The sandstorm
Hmm.
at Starbase.
Yeah, where you were saying that that sand comes in and coats everything.
Oh, okay, that's a Saharan dust. Which
That's
is
the one.
it's not exactly a sandstorm. I would say it's mainly like in the atmosphere per se. It wasn't as thick as a sandstorm typically is, but but yeah, it was pretty bad.
Oh wow. So we have something interesting here, which I was not aware of. So this little ring right here, which we've never really seen them use, I guess apparently, and then now I can kind of see it here. You have a pipe coming out of this tank that's penetrating through the edge of the ring. There's actually two of them. So I'm guessing this is a some sort of relief for I don't know if they're overproducing
Of
and these tanks
venting.
fill up and they need somewhere to like purge that liquid.
Yes.
Essentially, I'm looking at this image from Chief from the What About It channel. As soon as I could swap over. So essentially, using it as a boil off pool. Um, I'm guessing they're, as I said, pouring the excess in here so that it has a safe place to like boil off, so it's not just like going all over the place. So I'm guessing this ring is actually embedded in concrete. Now that I look at it a little closer, um, it's probably down into the concrete several inches. So yeah, it's basically just a basin, which we've actually been wondering for a really long time. So glad that Chief was out there that day to catch it, and now we finally have answers to this because it's been bothering me for a while. I'm like, why is this random ring? This is one of the first things left here. This has been here. This was here before these tanks were here. So they definitely thought that out a very long time ago.
But
Um,
I have questions.
yeah,
Won't the foundation underneath that ring, if they're pouring the gaseous, not gaseous, they're pouring in the liquid forms of all of those gases, right? So they're super cold. Will that not crack that cement or foundation right there when it's
um,
venting?
I don't think so. I mean, you're like if you like I'm from Colorado, and even here in Chicago, when the ground does freeze, it does tend to cause like cracks and stuff, but that's because the cracks are already there to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that would happen in this situation because there's probably no cracks. It looks like a really smooth surface. So if they did just develop like a micro fissure, that would probably develop into a very large crack pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like so far that's not happened. But yeah, that's a really interesting point to consider.
And then when we saw those pegs when they were creating the Lego pad, were they not for the big tanks to like strap onto? The pegs that go all the way around the three long tubes as well as the circular one?
Are you talking about
Yes,
these?
I am.
So if we look at the ground image again, you can see that. Oops, that's not what I wanted. You can see that they're actually they call them bollards, so it's basically just to stop trucks or
Oh,
any cars to from backing into them. It's just a one of those
oh,
protective measures that they put into place. That these types of things are actually listed in the PEA as well. And I've had people like DM me on Twitter
what?
asking why I don't talk about the PEA related stuff, and it's because in my opinion most of it is already done. Like I can see it. Maybe it is worth like explaining the things that are already done because a lot of people are worried that they're not ready for launch based on some of the recommendations that are made. But in my opinion, I think that most of the protective measures that they are supposed to put in place on their equipment is already in place. So, uh, yeah, that's why I don't talk about it.
It makes sense. I mean, I think that's the consensus too, that most of the things in the PEA were already done, mitigated by the time the PEA was published.
Huh.
Wow.
So I just remembered that this ring was actually lifted off of this structure this week and set on the ground. Let me see if Mauricio has some ground images of that.
I'm looking too.
Usually he does. Did you go straight to the launch site this time?
Yeah, I started at the launch site, then I did the Sanchez at the very last before I
Okay.
left. I might have gotten a glimpse of that ring that you're talking about, but I don't think I got a close up of it.
Oh, and he has the that
I
white
got it right here.
tank too.
So swapping over to that ground image, you guys can see that the stand I believe was mounted into these holes right here. So a lot of people assume that it was welded on. Um, okay, you can't really see the other ones, but you can see that obviously now that structure is on the ground somewhere. And I don't know if we are able to see it in the background over here or not. I don't even know if we know where it is anymore, truthfully. So the interesting thing about this, oh man, this is a bit of a rabbit hole. What time is it? 1 o'clock? Let's just do it. All
We
right.
love rabbit
So,
holes. Go, GB, go.
so let me swap back to the Sanchez site. So this stand right here is very similar to the suborbital test stand. And the reason I say that is because the way that this attaches onto here is the same way that the um, when they put the booster transport stand or the booster adapter plate onto the test stand A, I believe, for the static fire attempt. They basically put a similar version of this on there. So this is an upgraded one, and I have a feeling that this is going to be they're going to construct a new transport or another suborbital test stand soon. Um, man, this is such a big rabbit hole. I'm like trying to make up the best way to explain this. But so you have these pieces right here, which are a part of another suborbital um, test stand. So here's a good image of the suborbital test stands right here, just for reference. Um, so when you the adapter plate would basically go on top of this in order to get the booster higher up in the air. So because all the engines hang down below, versus the Starship, the engines are like way up here. So the pieces that we're seeing on the ground are basically these same pieces right here. And swapping back, you can see the legs of the test stand, 1, 2, 3, and then the pieces that make up the actual platform are laying right here. And these have been here forever, but they haven't done anything with it. So I have a feeling that they may actually be intending to construct that stand soon, and the reason for that um, is because of what they're doing at the suborbital site right now. So swap over to a long distance version of this, actually. So over here at the suborbital site, and I'm going to need an overlay of the, if somebody has an overlay of the future plans or the initial plans for Starbase. So you can see that by by suborbital stand B, they've actually started to clear the land out over here, and they've also been clearing the land out over here. So number one, this is where a lot of the dirt that's been getting removed from the site lately is coming from, as they're slowly removing all of this material. And let's see. So looking at this from the map perspective, thank you, Max Q, for grabbing that so quickly. You can see that right next to test stand B is I can't remember what this is labeled as, and it's going to be hard to see. Basically, it's another suborbital test pad. So you have 1, 2, 3, and then 4 was supposed to be right here. And um, I'm wondering if they're going to put one right there still, because they do have the 2 cryo stations. But right now, the suborbital launch mount is really their only way to test a booster if they wanted to, but they can't do that because it's not set up for it. So the reason I say that is because the um, the tank farm is currently closed right now. Like they're doing some work on the liquid oxygen side, so they can't use the liquid oxygen side of this tank farm at all right now, which means the launch mount and this test tank can no longer be used while they're doing that. That also brings up an interesting point, though, I'm going to have to mention once we get there. But
Okay.
for now, I'm going to try and remember this because there's a lot to talk about at the tank farm today. But what were you about to say?
I was going to say, I like the raptor table. We got a good glimpse of it right there.
Oh yeah, we'll show it a little bit more too. And that
Yep.
raptor table actually um, is now lifted up into place underneath the launch mount, so they finally have used it for the first time.
Nice. Do you want a couple
Uh,
of questions before we get too far? Because there's a lot around this area.
yeah,
Okay.
let's go ahead.
First off, we'll start off with the $5 donation from Tim Jones, who says, "Thank you for all you do." Thank you, Tim. We appreciate you greatly. Your donation means a lot, and either Sonny's going to eat or we're going to go on a plane or both of those things. So very excited for that. Thank you, sir. And then there was a question about the ring that we were looking at, the one that is the venting one. The question is, what is the diameter of that ring? JK Video is asking.
12 meters.
12 meters.
So this ring right here is actually the same as um, it's the same diameter as the cryo shells. So while they were making the cryo shells, they produced one single extra ring, and that ring is sitting right here. So it's a huge 12-meter ring. I was kind of confused when I first saw it why they built that, but yeah, great question.
There's a question asking, what does that stand seem substantial? That's from Tim Jones. I believe it's the stand you were just talking about. You can see it in view right there. Yep.
This one?
Yep.
What was the question again?
They're asking what it is.
Oh, it's a so this allows you to convert a suborbital launch pad into a booster testing station because it has let me get a better look on this. So you can kind of see it here. It has 20 clamps on it. You can actually strap a booster onto this with um I believe you can only put it on with the center engines. You can't actually put it on here with the outer 20 on here. or if you had no engines and you just wanted to do a cryo test, which is something that I bet they want to do right now on Booster 8. If they had this adapter on one of these suborbital stands, then they would be able to do that. So that's why I kind of think that they are starting to clear the area specifically on this side, is because that would allow them. I mean, this is basically where that test stand is supposed to be, like right here. So this was a really thin driveway to get to this location, and this right here is right next to all of the cryo tubes that go. Um, oh wow, I never really noticed this before. Okay. Um, let me look at it again from this view. So the okay, I thought the cryo tubes went under the berm right here, but they actually go underneath here. And these ones are not fully insulated, which in my mind tells me that they're going to remove them at some point. So I have a feeling that it'll be easy for them to just install a T into these right here and bury them underground and send it to um, the other suborbital stand, which will be over here. So there's a reason. There's a reason why they left this gap in here, but when I'm going to talk about it more when we get to the launch site, because this isn't the only location where they're doing this. So um, I'll come back to that.
Nice. And then real fast, a shout out for you from Todd Burnell. He says, Zach, did you see the footage of the new Raptor platform being lifted? Great work on catching that, or calling that, excuse me. So shout out to
I
you,
did. I
JP.
did. I was watching it all day yesterday because I knew they were about to do it, and I saw it uh, on Raptor Roost Cam. I actually turned the camera just so I could get a good view of it. Oh man, I hope I turned it back now that I think about it. I have no idea what it's looking at right
No,
now.
you're fine.
Um,
I think it got reset.
so yeah, I saw it roll up underneath there. We actually watched it roll all the way around the launch site and head over to the launch mount. And then yeah, they lifted it up into place late last night. I uh, I may have an image that or a video that we can show from possibly Lab Padre if I can find it. Um, this is too tough to find right now. So
What
I
is it you're
will.
looking for? Maybe I can help you.
We did have a video of it being lifted up onto the launch mount yesterday.
Okay. I will find it for you.
Hey, Zach, while you're at this image, one thing to note is the expansion. They've actually extended it a lot more since last week. It's not much stuff that you can see from the ground level. I've been out there, and you can't really tell that kind of stuff, the expansion going on, unless it's from this particular view.
Right. Yeah. When you're looking at it from the ground, you basically can't even fully see it. Right.
Right, you'll see the backhoes and the compact the vehicles going out there, but you can't really see the layout as you see it here. Looks like
Yeah.
they're setting up a perimeter and um yeah, my opinion, I mean from what I've seen from the overlay, that path right there that leads on it's for the pad. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. You can see them ripping all of that plant material out that's surrounding the area. This looks like it's outside of the fence. Oh, never mind. You can see the little posts right here. These posts are the same ones that are. Um,
Yeah, those are the property markers, and the tip of that says SpaceX property.
yeah. So right now they're digging all of this out. Right. They're pushing back all of this plant material, and I'm
Yeah,
assuming. I have a
right. So that
feeling.
was
Go ahead.
no, so that was taken on Monday. When was it? Yeah, Monday the 25th. And the ground shots, I think they're way further out towards the left side of the screen there.
Interesting. Oh wait, on the. I don't think I could. Was there another ground image of it?
Uh, Possibly. I think that was one of the best ones, one of the
Okay.
best ground images. But I think the emphasis on the expansion was uh, pretty clear in this particular image. There's actually some further out shots where you can actually see a lot more defined. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, I was wondering initially like why they haven't started to complete the berm over here because this is the one that where they're going to be doing static fires at, so they're still going to have all that dirt blowing into the tank farm. But it would make sense that they aren't covering this up yet because once they have to tap if they have to tap into that line in order to run it to the next test stand, then you probably want to keep this accessible just in case you have to go down there and swap out any of those pipes. So maybe after they start this, we'll actually see them complete that berm. It'd be interesting if they would at least go halfway down and then leave this part untouched. That would kind of give more confirmation that that's what's going to happen. But I don't know. They're probably in the mind state that they just do all of it at once. So it's looking good though. With that, I think it's about time we move over to the wide bay.
Woohoo!
Yeah, we got some great ground images on for this as well too. So I'm going to cue those up. Um, but yeah, we're looking at it from the front right here. As you can see, um, they have the scaffolding pretty much all the way around it. Let's go ahead and chop in a ground image too. So you can see that scaffolding going pretty much all the way around. And man, you had a really cool shot showing the front of it. So I'm gonna grab that really quick. Much easier to cover ground images if I have a chance to go through all of them first. So and knowing what's actually in here. So now that we're at the front of the building, you guys can see that since Mauricio did the flyover, they have completed all the scaffolding on this side of the building. So I think the reason this took so long is because initially um, they had this crane up here, which they were able to lift all of those scaffolding pieces up. But because that crane was focused on getting those window sections into the building, and you can even see right here, they built a ramp. This is the ramp where they were lifting the window sections in through. Wonder if I have a ground shot of that. That'd be cool. Um, I'll show that later. But
Ground shot of the
you
windows?
know the ramp, the loading dock,
Oh, okay.
essentially. But looking at it from the ground, as I mentioned, you can see that they finally completed all of that scaffolding work. You can even see this is really awesome. The company, Davis Ironworks, who's responsible for this job. Now we know who to come for if the windows break. Hmm. Just noticed these interesting little pegs sitting out here. So I do not know if those were there before. I don't think they were.
No, they weren't there before. I think it was Sport that called them out on yesterday's show and tell. Those seem to be brand new.
Interesting. Yeah, this almost makes me think that we may have like a window going from top to bottom up here, and then a solid skirt going around that, and then more window up top, possibly. That's a tough one. Well, we know we'll find that one out soon. It'll probably be pretty obvious within the next few weeks what's happening up there, if not even sooner. But looking at it from the aerial view again, yeah, it's really cool to see them finally making progress with those windows. I was wondering when they were going to start to actually frame those out. And I did see them pouring concrete up there this week as well too, and I can't see where they would have been doing that. I don't know if this right here is like an edge that they maybe we can get a better angle of it.
And while you do that, there was a question asking if all the ground photos are using the new camera. Jim Cavitt's asking. The answer is yes. All the ground photos are taken with the new 61 megapixel camera. That Mauricio got when, Mauricio? Yesterday? Day
I got
before?
I got the camera on. Just want to be exact. I got it on Wednesday, and yeah, all the images were captured using the new camera, and just some adjustments need to be made to get the most out of the camera. But we'll definitely gonna start doing a lot of panoramas just to showcase and to take advantage of the quality of these images. And so just be on the lookout for that. We'll have those available for patrons pretty much right away, the same day that they were taken, and for YouTube members as well. We'll post a link there. But yeah,
Okay. I just finally realized what they're doing up here. So maybe I have a
Do you want
image that
ground photos? Because I have them for you.
no, I have a good aerial. I just
Okay.
need to find one from the right time of day so I can properly show what's happening here. Um, I may have to go even further back on an older image. So while I'm looking for an older shot, did we have any more questions to answer?
There are a couple. Ridge Flyer 32 is asking, is the famous hovercraft still there? Asking for a friend. Is there a hovercraft here?
Yeah, there is a hovercraft. Where is it? Uh,
so that hovercraft is actually located where Maria Pointer's house used to be at the back, which is now known
Oh,
as the fire.
yeah. I
It's
forgot.
like that's where they have the fire truck now.
okay, that makes sense.
And we just saw it last week when we were looking at it with Maria. We saw her old hovercraft. Or it wasn't hers, but it was on their property. It might have been hers. I don't know.
Okay, so I think this is going to be hard to explain. So I can't find the older image to properly show this because the time of day has to be perfect. But essentially, they're pouring concrete along this edge to extend it out a little bit, and I just can't tell how far they're extending it or if it's actually just completing the edge. So if you, man, this is really hard to show without having a better image of it. But yeah, but you can kind of see the concrete formwork right there. There's some rebar and whatnot. And earlier this week, I noticed them lifting up buckets of concrete, and I guess that's what they were doing was extending this floor out. Now that the paneling is complete all the way up to the top, I'm guessing they had to wait in order to finish off the paneling. But let's actually see if we can view any of that from the ground.
For the wide bay?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to see it in this image. It would be down here. Yeah, it's tough to tell from these shots, but you can see it a little better from the air. So you guys maybe just have to trust my word on that. This definitely looks like a rebar inside of here. So
So I have ones that are looking up. So like stuff like this. Where are you? Stuff like this that shows the. They're very large photos. They take a minute to upload.
it's fine.
Are you looking for? Oh, yeah. That's what you're looking for?
Uh, yeah, I'm not sure if you can see it in this image. Let me just pop it up really quick. Oh wow, okay, that takes a while to load.
They're like double the size of what we're used to.
Yeah, I'm just glancing at it really quick, and I can't see it in there, so it's okay. We'll move on.
Okay.
Uh, so continuing on with the wide bay, there is still a ton of engine paneling for Booster 7. So as of Monday, it was still not complete. There's also a either this is one of the chines or the strakes. I believe this is one of the chines. You'd have to see it from the bottom in order to tell. But also hard to tell whether that came off of Booster 7 or if that's meant for 8. But yeah, tons of engine material still laying down here. So I don't think it is complete yet. And as I mentioned earlier, Booster 8 has been moving inside of the Mega Bay today. So
And
I was
9.
actually expecting, yeah,
9
and
too.
9, yeah. I was expecting Booster 8 to roll out last week. As you guys can see here, actually, they had the SPMTs sitting here waiting. So I mean, we saw these move into the wide bay on Monday. So I believe Mauricio did this flyover, and literally as soon as he landed, these things moved into the wide bay. So I started thinking that it was going to move right away, but then they left right
Yeah, they
away.
came out
So
that same night, right?
yeah, that was pretty disappointing.
But to maybe promote what you're saying, I know that they've been testing Raptors like mad at McGregor in the last week or so. Like test after test after test, some of them being from the actual Booster 7 event, and some could be new ones that are, in theory, repopulating Booster 8 because we would have hijacked those Raptors that would have been for 8 for 7.
It's true. Yeah, I wonder if they. I mean, they have swapped them out like that in the past. With how many of them there are, I wonder if they would want to, if they care about keeping the same engine assignments, but probably not. Uh, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think we've seen some Raptors start to return.
Yes, we have. And what they're testing at McGregor, they're doing spin prime tests.
Interesting. So not as many actual uh, static fire tests, but a lot of spin prime tests happening.
Yes.
So yeah, that could indicate an actual issue with that spin prime system.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that's crazy.
And
So
sorry,
go ahead.
one thing of note, Dave Ree has mentioned that it looks like they're pouring a curb, not extending the edge. I assume that's what we were talking about, the building?
Um,
Dave Ree, the building? I'm sure he'll
which yeah,
correct
which
us.
not sure what he was mentioning there.
When
He
it was when we were looking at the corner of the building of High Bay. Sorry, Wide Bay, excuse me.
yeah, doing the completing this corner right here.
Yeah, I believe he's saying that they're pouring a curb, not extending the edge, if that makes sense.
Um,
Don't worry, Dave Ree's typing right now.
yeah, I'm not sure. There, you can see on this other one that it appears that there's just a slight overhang on the floor. So I think that's what they were doing right here was that slight overhang. And I have older images now that I've had a little time um, of what that concrete floor looks like. I'm just gonna have to swap over to that.
Well, and to clarify, Dave is saying wide bay concrete work is a curb above the floor, not past the edge. Dave, he said, hmm.
I'm just thinking out loud. So let me show this image really quick. Oh, I don't know which screen this is going to pop up, so just give me 1 second. Make sure I'm getting the right screen.
Oh. So essentially what they're saying is that what Dave is saying, summed up, is that basically it's a raised lip around the edge at the top of the wide bay.
So this is the older image that I was mentioning before. So if you see that when they initially poured the concrete floor, there was this lip that went over the edge, and the side right here it was not completed. So I'm not really sure um, if that was just so that they could finish off this paneling before they installed it. I mean, but they didn't do that here, so I'm not really sure. There's maybe just something special about that corner. But yeah, when they poured the concrete, they extended it out so it matches on both sides, essentially. So when I swap back, you can see that right here that it's. Oops, forgot to swap. You can see that right here. But yeah, continuing on, we was I looking for something right before that? I wasn't, right? We're good.
We are good as far as I know.
Um, so I don't know if we've seen any movement out of these panels yet, but they're nearing completion. You can see there's only one more that still hasn't been finished as far as adding the paneling on top. And sorry, I just noticed something on this edge. This edge looks a little rough right here, so I'm wondering if there's going to be a bumper on the end of it. It doesn't look as smooth as this one does, but I'd have to see that from the ground image in order to. Can't really tell on these ones. They look a little bit smoother. But we do have these steel beams that are on top of here, which I'm pretty sure are for additional platforms. So I believe there's more over here as well too. And you can even see more platforms over here, which are a little bit different than these ones. They look a little thinner, unless they just don't have the paneling on them yet. That's probably what's happening. They don't have the paneling. But yeah, they're building a ton more walkways. There's more steel for additional platforms. So I think we're going to see more of those show up. And on top of that, they are now.
Oh, well,
Which direction are they going?
looks like a foot.
They are. Man, I'd have to look at older images. Hold on. I think you can tell from this side.
We also have Dave with us in case you wanted to talk to Dave directly.
Yeah, sure. Did we hold on one second? I'm just looking for this side. There we go. So they're coming from the Starfactory going back towards the Mega Bay, which is interesting. I'm kind of wondering if soon they will have another facility, a smaller building right here for some reason. So I guess one good building to put right here would be something to store all of these things that are currently sitting outside. So if they wanted a climate controlled or building with garages right here, this would be the perfect spot for that. But yeah, we're gonna have to wait to see. And right now they currently need this area for storing things that they're scrapping, but I think they're gonna soon have more space once they finish up all of these panels to actually construct something right here if they want to. But Dave, did you have something you wanted to add about the roof?
Give me 1 sec.
Well,
One
yes,
miss.
GB, I do. I have lots to tell you about this stuff. I'm the man.
So
I'm
while
just
we're waiting
switching over. I was just switching over to a headset instead of the laptop speakers.
how you doing today, Dave? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. You've been keeping pretty busy. Yeah, it's been a busy week here. The only thing I had is, it looks to me like the shot you had from the front of the high bay, the one we were looking at about 5 minutes ago,
The older
where you
image.
showed the new one where the concrete forms were. It had all the scaffolding and the concrete forms. Yeah, so if you zoom in to the left as far as you can see the edge of the concrete around that second pillar. And you can see like where it is relative to the white versus the gray to the right of the pillar.
Yeah.
Go to the right to the other side. Nope.
This one.
Second
Sorry,
pillar.
over here.
That right there. So I think that's the actual edge of the concrete right where your cursor is. And I think that's pretty well lined up with where all that formwork is. So
Wait,
it looks like
did you not see the other image I showed, Dave?
I did, but it looks like they're pouring. It looks like they're pouring about a 10-inch or 12-inch high curb around the floor as a safety feature, so people don't kick the glass or roll into it or anything like that.
That would make sense. Yeah.
So I think what they're doing is they're just putting a curb in all the way around because somebody pointed out that that might be nice for safety.
Would they need additional formwork over here for that?
I think they're gonna have to fill that gap in there, yeah. Unless they're putting a door or something there.
You never know.
Well, we have an
Never know.
example on high bay.
Yeah, for sure. And it doesn't really need to be that large. Like a balcony, the balcony on the high bay is really not that big. If you look at it from here, it's very small. So it wouldn't take much to add that on if they chose to do so. Man, I hope they do.
Well, I would expect to see some steel work under that if they were going to do that, and I haven't seen any sign of that.
Nope, not yet. Not yet. But it isn't too difficult to add on. If we go back to that ground image, we can see that they've started. Oh, interesting. Now that I think about that. Um,
Love it when you do that.
well, I mean, it could be a look. Just looking at the front where they added those beams on. I'm going to try and get back to this one. Ground.
There we
I
go.
mean, surely they wouldn't install a balcony up here. No, that doesn't even look like something
Don't
we'd have
call
to
me
possibly
Shirley.
do.
Given it's connected with a tab, I don't think that's very structural. If you look where the mullions join the beam sticking out, it's just a steel tab.
Well, I thought that the idea was that there's two, like it's a huge panel window, but it's in two layers so that it has the support. So building a balcony doesn't quite fit, does it?
Well, I don't know if anybody saw Shard. Shard is of the opinion it's going to be glass below and fascia above the mullion.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, I that's what I was kind of thinking before, except I was thinking glass, fascia, glass. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's. I think they'll mount something onto these soon, and we'll be able to see a little bit more clearly what it's going to look like. Matter of fact, let's see back from that aerial view if they have more items on the ground that maybe could be used for that. Um, so we do have the railing. You know, it's not impossible for this railing to go up there, though. Truthfully, I mean, I know, obviously they're going to probably connect these the platforms together because you have the openings for those. But there's only one, two, three, four. Some of these have two openings.
I think they all have two openings. There's some of them are just harder to see.
Well, this one doesn't have two openings right here. There's a rail on both sides.
Okay. Yep.
And then this one has an opening on that side. So these could be
Oh,
the
that makes
front. This
sense.
is the
The
front corner.
front
Front,
left and right.
yeah, front left and front right. These are the rear corners where it'll still, um, yeah. So you'll have a rear corner walkway in between the two rears, and the thing that bothers me about this for some reason is that you to have this platform at the same height all the way around the wide bay doesn't really make sense because you're not going to have four fully stacked boosters in there. I don't think.
Why not?
Um,
They
Well, it
have
well,
depends.
three.
I guess
Yeah.
you want to be able to move them to different locations if you need to. Like maybe if you have a position for boosters that are fully stacked, or that you are fully stacking versus boosters that are stacked but are having engines installed, or also a repair station maybe in the front right corner or something like that.
But it
Yeah,
makes.
but
Um,
if they were movable, you wouldn't put catwalks on them because the
no, I
catwalks
don't
would
think these
be
are
movable.
movable. They're definitely not movable. But what I am thinking is that I was expecting these to be mounted at different heights inside of the high bay. It's like you would want a height where you can attach robots onto these and you're able to weld at the lower stacking heights. You need another one at the above the common dome, so for the final stack weld. And then I don't know, I would probably put another one even higher up by the grid fins so you can get into the top of the booster without needing any support. You know what I mean? Like you could just the top rim of the booster would basically just be right here, and then you just have a step ladder to get down into the bottom of it. So I can think
Well,
of at least four different heights within the building where these things would be ideal at. So I'm hoping there's more than just what we're seeing here.
yeah, the other thing to think about is if these are on the mid to lower booster, they've got to clear the strakes and aero covers.
True. Um, yes. So if you have it in the lower position, you would only need it while you're performing the stacking operations, which which you probably wouldn't have the chines on until. Oh, well, you never know now. I mean, they could start putting the chines on early with the LOX tank, but I don't think you would want to actually install them until you have the full stack. So yeah, that's a
Yeah, I'll agree with that because you need to get the COPVs on and the plumbing, and you don't want to put the covers on until that's all done. And you need to join them all after you join the segments together.
Man, I love these. I'm gonna show these from the air, and then Mauricio has a nice shot of them from the ground. Oh man, I guess the one I was looking at was pretty good, huh? Too far at the bottom of this image. I guess I'll go back to this one. But yeah, you can see inside of booster 5 tank section right there, blocks aft dome. And then obviously the forward section right there. And let me grab the ground image of for those of you who haven't seen, they've been chopping up booster 5's forward section, the where the grid fins are. They removed the grid fins and have been slowly chopping up everything else. Let me see if I got, there we go.
And all I can say is if you haven't watched the video of them removing the grid fins and removing the skin, you need to.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy. So you can, this is one of the best views that we've seen of this whole mechanism, where the grid fins actually attached. So it's really cool that they actually showed this. This right here is actually where the lifting pins, so the two pins on either side of the booster that get lifted by the chopsticks, get mounted, get welded to this back panel, and I believe they also get welded onto the dome of the tank right here, and then the actual lifting pin comes out of this hole right here. So maybe I should just quickly show you guys that area. So we're talking about this thing right here. So you see that little cutout where this comes out through, and on the ground, you can, yeah, it's right there. So interesting the way that that attaches. It makes a lot of sense that they have so much extra support around this dome. Obviously, you want somewhere to mount these um, and these motors, but also having a solid base for mounting structure for that lifting pin, which is lifting up the entire weight of the vehicle underneath. It's interesting to see that attachment point. And which video did Lab happen to post that video, or was it one of the dailies?
I don't think it was either. I'll have to go find it. Give me a minute.
So yeah, you can see down here. Are they torching these right now? I can't really tell. They look really dark. I think these are. Man, that was really cool.
They're like cutting them? Are they already pre-cut?
Looks like we got a really cool image. The Max Q just sent this to me. So it's a little blurry, but this is from Rovercam. You can actually see what that load point looks like. So there is a piece missing from this, I believe, which gets welded onto the backside. But this is the actual load point right here on the bottom. You can barely see it. And then we got a video of. Hey, hold on. Trying to grab this one. Oh, that's going to open up in a different window. 1 second, guys. A lot going on in the background as usual, so bear with me. And here we go. So this is the this is taken from very far away, but you guys can probably see the lifting pin sliding out, looking that looks funny. I'm not even going to describe it. So if you guys can't see it, it's right there in the center falling out. Sorry for the blurry image, but it's the best we got. This is a super crop. That's awesome. All right, let's continue on. Oh man, it's already 1:43. I'm going slow through these images today. I apologize, everybody. There's a lot to talk about, so I'm going to move us away from the wide bay and over to the ring yard because we always got to touch on that. So inside of the high bay, we have ship 25. And I know I have some great ground images of that too, so I'm going to be searching for them as I'm talking. But yeah, you guys can see that the high bay has basically been mainly used for ship production at this point, which I've kind of been expecting. I think there have been some booster sections move in and out of there for random stacking operations, but primarily it's happening inside of the mega bay now. So yeah, there's always starship sections inside of here currently under construction, and I think we may have a good view of it. Sorry, I'm searching for it. Um, Sorry. While I'm doing that, we do have one more video I can show really quick because we had a few more pop up showing the actual destruction of the side of. Oh man, they're just. What's that on the ground? Okay.
Lifting frame.
Wow.
No, here and now it shrinks.
Why did it just get so clear and then?
It was a mix of zoom in and zoom out in the camera that were put together.
Gotcha. Well, that was quick. I don't think I've ever seen them scrap anything that fast. Um, Somebody needs to post that one to Twitter. So, moving back to the. Oh, oops! I skipped over the ring yard. Sorry. So we are got that ground image I found too. I am all over the place. So this is okay. This one is actually inside of the iron hinge or the low bay. So you have ship 25's nose cone sitting right there next to it, looking really good as always. And then you have next to that the payload section, which is nearing completion, also looking really good. They do have some taped off areas where they don't want any tiles at, which makes sense. Probably welding some things on the inside still, so that's why they do that usually. But back to the aerial view, I don't think I have what I was looking for the inside of the high bay, which would be kind of difficult to get now that I think about it. But outside of here, these tank sections have pretty much been sitting here for man a while now, and for once, I think we have an empty mid bay. Long time since we've seen the mid bay completely empty like this.
Yeah, it's full. It's got something in it now.
Oh, well, what's in there today?
7.1 came home and got stuck into mid bay.
Oh, that's lovely. I wonder what they're going to do to that.
I hope scrap it.
It's not obsolete yet. I'll tell you what. I would really like to see. I don't know if they have a reason to do this here, but I would like to see another mega bay here. Like, this is a very expensive building. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know if they have as much use for it anymore. Like, I really feel like this launch site needs another high bay. I'm sure they would like that, having four bridge cranes instead of three. But yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, if you just look at it, it also looks like it's already like shaped out for a larger one to be there. Just like the perfect amount of space to fit one. Once that Starfactory is complete, who knows? Maybe we'll see that. But let's move on to the actual Starfactory. Since I just mentioned that, there is a lot of action going on in there. We have the first bridge cranes that have arrived on site. I don't think I have a ground image to show those, But
I can
what we
find you
can
one.
see, what was that?
I think I can find you one.
Cool. Yeah, I know there was a video of it. I actually filmed
Well,
a video of it as well too. But
Chief,
go
Chief
ahead.
has a good ground image.
Great. Yeah, that'll be perfect. So we can see right here the oh, you know what? Something I haven't done this entire show yet. If you guys haven't hit that like button yet, look at me. Like that 1 hour and 50 minutes before I finally said that. If you guys haven't hit that like button yet, please do me a favor and go ahead and do that. Hopefully you guys are enjoying especially the ground images with the new camera. I haven't gone into them super deep, but we are about to right now. So if you guys do appreciate that, let us know by hitting that like button. And if you would like to donate towards the channel, I mean, obviously we do have the camera, but if you guys are trying to help us just with daily operations and continue to upgrade as far as things that we're doing in order to increase quality every week, I won't go into too much detail because sometimes you want to just surprise people with things. But if you guys want to continue helping us grow the channel, we appreciate all the super chats and donations on Patreon and obviously in the YouTube super chats. So thanks to everybody who got us here as far as getting the new camera. And yeah, we really appreciate you guys. We're really excited to be able to show these this week. And honestly, truthfully, I'm even excited for next week so that we have the test, the true test, which is going to be the aerial test. So yeah, you know, and the best part about that is Mauricio's not going to have to deal with a camera that turns off on him. I think he said during the last flyover, the camera turned off on him, what, 30 times?
Honestly, I didn't even keep track, but it seemed to me it was about 30 times.
Man,
It just got ridiculous. It's one of those things where you just take photos, camera shuts off, take out the battery, plug it back in, swap out the battery, swap out SD cards, do the whole thing to try and get the issue fixed. And well, now that we have the camera, we don't have those. We shouldn't have those issues anymore. So
man, I sure
yeah.
hope so. It's yeah, and it's like I said, it's really awesome just seeing the initial quality. And um, these are the JPEG images. So if you guys have seen if you're in RGV's Patreon Discord channel, then you'll be able to see the raw images as we're doing the show and tells, usually the night before or the night after a flyover or after the ground images. Mauricio will come in there and show off the images. So if you guys would like to get that behind the scenes stuff, then make sure to join the Discord channel as well too. But when in that environment, we're able to show the raw images because they're just far too large for me to be swapping through during these shows. But we still have a lot of quality maintained, even even without showing the raw images. So yeah, this is a really exciting seeing the inside of the Starfactory come along, and I guess I'm gonna have to go show it from the other side over here. All right. So as you guys can see here, the rails for the bridge crane, tough to see on this side, but they basically come all the way to the end on this side. And then down on the this side, you have them basically coming all the way to the end. They've been painted white as well too. And even moving into the other sides of the bay, you can see that they've got the bridge crane. So it's interesting. Oh, sorry, we have an image of them as they're arriving, thanks to Chief from the What About It channel. Uh, there we go. So we have the actual girders for the bridge crane. I believe these are. So I think these are two separate cranes right here. I'm not
Those would
100.
be those would be the front and back girder for one crane, and then the other truck is the second crane.
Right. So you can barely see the other truck. I'm just looking at right here. So this is when they're actually taking it off. And we did see the trolleys come in as well too. So yeah, they've I'm really excited to see like how many of these there are. Like I'm kind of anticipating 5 on each in each bay. So like if you look at it from above, it's a little tougher to see now because of the roof being on. But there's basically 5 sections within this building. Yeah, it's really tough to see from this angle now. Where are they? You used to be able to see them in the ground pretty well, but here we go. These little patches right here, 1, 2. I believe there's one under this truck right here, and then another one under this. So there's 5 actual workstations in each aisle. So there's 15 in total. So I'm kind of expecting the bridge cranes, like the first one will probably only operate within this area right here. Because if it's sharing across, like if there's, I don't know, minimum 3, I'm hoping for 5. But that's also really expensive. So it makes sense to have one for each workstation, in my opinion. So we will see more on that. But returning to that ground shot, just from one more angle, you can see both sides of that. So this is the last aisle of the bay, and this is the middle one right here, which also has them. And of course, can't forget that they've added more of the lights. You can see obviously where the roof is because of the dark, but they've got lights coming all the way up to here now. So 1, 2, 3, 5 sets of lights on each. 15. I can't believe I'm doing math. 45 lights in total, and obviously they'll come all the way to the end, and that's a big reason not to put the rest of the roof on is because it gets really dark in there. So once they have those lights, they'll be able to actually you want the HVAC in there as well too. So it's going to be a tough balance, like putting the walls up the same day probably that you get the HVAC running. You don't want to do it before that, or else it's going to get really, really hot in there. And on that note, returning to the aerial image, I believe all of the air conditioning units are going to be powered from this box right here. And you can finally see they've started to bring one over, and definitely looks like a perfect fit. So your intake and discharge are both going to be on the bottom of it instead of on the side like a lot of AC units are. So those will just go through those penetrations. Matter of fact, I bet you this one's probably already up on the roof because it looked like they're taking the cover off, and this crane was getting into position. So I have a feeling that this AC unit is now on top of the roof, but we will know for sure next flyover. I mean, like I said, they got to be in a rush to get those because you need that in order to work in there comfortably. So 1 + 1 definitely has to equal 2 here, I'm guessing.
There you go, doing math again.
Yeah, that's basic though, basic math. So moving on to the other side of the entrance, you guys can see that they still have that one doorway. They haven't finished the actual like uh, exterior of that for some reason. However, they have started to work on the actual ground in front of it. So when they're transferring things from this tent over to the others, uh, that's how they're going to do that. And truthfully, they're really only going to be transferring into this tent. So once they remove the other 2 tents, which we're assuming will happen at the same time, they'll only be moving back and forth between these 2 tents, which will also present a problem for getting over to the mega bay. So I will be interested to see if they end up removing this second tent at some point, or the little one, and allowing ring sections to move around this outer edge, which will kind of suck because it'll be hard to see when they move them. But it seems like that will have to be necessary in order to actually move around here because there's no door on the backside. And given that there's these posts in the ground, we don't expect a door on the backside either. So, man, I'm just hoping they put windows, honestly, because having a building like this with no windows, kind of weird.
It's very aerospace.
Yeah,
To
I
not
guess
have
so.
windows? Very aerospace to not have them, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hangars don't got windows.
But is this a hangar or is it a
Well, but
manufacturing?
if you think Boeing or Douglas or anybody like that,
Yeah,
manufacturing hangars don't
yeah,
have windows.
that's true.
Right.
Just on the office building
Um,
sides.
I'm starting to get excited because we're getting closer to the launch site, and there's so many things happening over there. It feels like I say that every time, and I don't have as many pictures of Starfactor as I thought. So I will keep us going
So while
on.
you were here, do you have a clue why we haven't finished that last quadrant of the roof beams?
Um,
I know I'm playing Stump the Zach.
uh,
You can just say no.
no.
Okay.
Do you
The only thing I could think of is if they were going to pop that up and make a high bay in there, but I don't know. I've got no clue.
like a taller section of the building?
Yeah, frame it up, 5 or 10 feet higher for some stupid reason, but I got no reason why they wouldn't finish putting that there. I mean, there's roof beams laying on the ground there.
Yeah, It's weird that they're waiting. I feel like they're just prioritizing pretty much everything else for some reason. Just like getting all the framework for everything that needs to have large objects slide into the building. Because when you're installing the cranes, I'm guessing they need this part of it at least to be open on all three
Now,
locations.
now they just bring them in from on the
From the
ground.
bottom.
Think how they did high bay.
Mm.
They brought
Oh,
them in on the
lift them
ground
up
and
through one of
lifted them
these
up.
holes.
Yeah, they just brought them in on the ground and lifted them up onto the track. You can
maybe
do
it's
it.
maybe it's an indoor outdoor space, and so they don't want to cover it just yet.
Good excuse as any as I've heard.
Interesting. Yeah, we're gonna. I mean, I'm hoping that they finish that off really soon, and I'm
And
really
the
see the
only other
first connection
excuse I
done.
got is the one that you'll love, and that's supply chain. They couldn't get the piece of steel they needed.
Boo, Dave,
One Piece.
boo.
No, I hate supply chain issues.
It's
It's
not
like my worst
supply chain.
nightmare every day.
It's like your worst nightmare, HEB.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
It's
I
too
deal with
close
supply
to
chain
work,
every
ain't
day.
it?
So
It's way too close to work, ain't it?
yeah.
He's gonna have bad dreams now, Dave.
Sorry.
I blame you.
So
Did you see
moving
the
to what
cones? The not the nose cones, the dome cones. Are we gonna get to that? I don't want to jump
these?
ahead. Yes.
Yeah, I'm moving over to the. This is what I consider like the north production area or the ground fabrication area. Um, so we do have all of these Dome City outside. There's one, two, three, four, five, six.
You get a dome and you get a dome.
Um, yeah, they're definitely going to be cranking out a bunch of starships here soon. Uh, so these are all for, common domes, I believe, and for a starship. Sorry, and this is a. Oh, okay. I guess this one is scrapped. Maybe it has a
Looks
Yeah,
very
few.
coupon.
very
Yeah.
couponed. And one of them is the first time we've seen that the way that the cone is made or the thickness of the cone is changed. I think it's the one on the right or the center now. It's how in the center. It's that single. Yeah, back to the
Uh,
that one.
oh,
I think that's the one we were talking. Nick and I were talking about it, and he was saying it's the first time you've seen this. Not that it's folded, but or excuse me, that it's rounded, but that it's the first time you see the thickness of this. It's like you can see the writing. I probably have it wrong. I'll ask Nick
what?
later.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm guessing it's probably writing that's on the actual dome itself. Which, if that was the case, I may have some photos of them.
Yeah, they're here. I got them for you.
So we're looking at the domes from the ground. That's the old one.
Yep.
And then we have uh okay, that's not what I'm looking for. Nope, that's the old one as well. I don't see them here.
Maybe they didn't come over. I don't see them either. Well, trust us, there's some dome pictures that are really cool. Oh,
Yeah,
this
I
is the
mean,
one. Here you go. I found it. It's going to take 5 minutes to upload, though, because they're big images now.
that's fine. I'll keep going.
Mauricio,
So,
Just,
go
I
ahead.
just want to call out we have an hour of stream left.
oh, we're fine. So when I mentioned before about those two cranes being lifted, using to lift that the absorption column at the beginning of the show, the reason I said that they would need to move it all the way to the build site in order to do that is because they had to use this crane for help. And so this crane is usually pretty busy inside of the dome yard, and they didn't want to send it all the way to the Sanchez site for that long. So I have a feeling that's why they did that. And now I have the
And
zoomed in
actually,
images.
I don't think you were awake, but Thursday night, the black crane actually had to unhook from the column, run over to the dome yard, do something, and then race back in the morning.
Wow. Yeah, that they're definitely don't want that thing leaving sight because it's what they use for pretty much all of their dome flips, and as you can tell, they had a bunch of them out there. Um, so I don't know what in particular you were looking at as far as dimensions go on these.
So if you scroll to the right just a smidge, there should be writing somewhere. There it
There's
is.
one right here.
That's the writing. So the 530 tons is the total weight of not the full dome, but the panels, maybe?
No, I think that's probably the stretch force they use to stretch them.
Even better. That because it says stretched right on top.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a quite a stretch. I wonder what the other one right next to it is. 85. Can't really read the rest of it, but yeah, that's interesting. I don't know what they were stretched to before, but um, so getting back in the air, we always check in on this area. There's so many things down here. These are just random starship parts that are waiting to go inside the tents. Um, the even more down here, it's crazy. Grid fins, more
Along
grid
with an
fins.
entire rack of plumbing there.
Yeah, that plumbing looks really
Yeah,
cool
they got a
too. The
plumbing
patterns.
rack. Yeah,
Yeah, that's so crazy.
be kind of cool to see this from the ground, and that actually reminds me of something
It
else I
was
wanted to
actually, it
show
was
from the ground.
actually, you could actually see it in the picture of the dome you were just looking at.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Give me 1 second. I just want to find this really cool image.
But I like the way the pattern is. It reminds me of like watches. You know when sorry, when you take your watch in for repair and the fellow pulls out a long box of watch pieces. Am I really dating myself now, Dave?
I used to have to go with my mom to get her watch repaired. Now I just have an iWatch.
You know, that's what we did for my mom too.
And there's this morning's tweet.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't seen the tweet from this morning yet, inside of the smallest white tent are these racks, which come straight from the bakery. They do look like actual bakery racks, which makes sense. So these are the thermal shield tiles for the flaps. So you can see that they have different shapes for each part of the flap. And yeah, they just roll them out. I mean, there's some really cool ones in here actually. I would love to see the ones that are on this rack too, but maybe we have a few of them.
According to Jack, some of those heat tiles they're for the nose cone, and some of them for aero covers. I'm not sure what the other ones on the left are. Obviously, you can see there's different thickness for each and every one of those.
Yeah, man, that's really cool. They probably just deliver them in these racks, like a whole group of racks for each starship, probably with a few spares of each. But
No, they come in totes. Those racks are how they're baking them right here. These are the ones they've modified on site. They've got an oven. They put those in.
When I was out there taking these images, the first thing that came to mind was down here in South Texas, they have a lot of bakeries, but we call them pan dulce in Spanish. but I think it's sweetbread, right?
Yep.
They have them in that same exact setup. You literally just go up to those racks, get whatever bread you want to take, and take it up to the counter and pay.
Yeah, that's absolutely stock standard bakery supply. You call any restaurant supply company and say you need 2 bakery racks and half a dozen or a dozen sheet pans, which is what everything's sitting on. And the only thing I don't see on these particular ones is a lot of them actually have hooks on the top, so they go in and get lifted off the ground and then rotate in the oven. But I mean, yeah, this is regular old baking equipment. I mean, literally straight from the restaurant supply store. Now, if certain other companies were doing this, this would all be custom fabricated $1 million parts instead of $100 bakery racks.
Right. Yeah, that's really cool to be able to see this. I haven't seen the actual bakery in there yet, but
It's
that's
around the corner. It's around the corner. You can't see it
out of view.
from
Yeah.
this angle. Yeah, but we had a. There's a building. There's a low bay building
Oops.
structure here next to the tent, and
Mhm.
it's got a kitchen, constant flow ventilator system on it that I knew the manufacturer of and stuff. So I think it's
So
not there. It was on the other end, I think, but they had a whole ventilation system. It was like, yeah, that's kitchen supply stuff.
so this right here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Yeah, right there.
Interesting. So they're definitely making their own tiles on site then.
Well, that
And
would make sense because they have to be able to um, modify them, and I think do that while they're not baked, right? While they're still green, and then they take the green tile and mill it and shape it and do whatever they need to do, and then they bake it and coat it.
yeah, that's huh, interesting. I
Well,
didn't
we saw a delivery. February or March of this year. There was a delivery that said mini bakery for Boca Chica or something. It was shipped up from Florida.
right. Yeah, that's yeah, I definitely didn't know that one, but very, very interesting. And I'm sorry, I'm just trying to remember where I'm at here so I can keep us on time because I know that we have a good amount to cover still. So I'm going to move us forward really quick. Let's go ahead and continue at the ground fab building. Or not ground fab. Actually, yeah, let me go back. There actually wasn't a ton of stuff out here this week. So same stockpile of steel as normal. The looking at it from this angle, we did have a few new. These look like bases for pedestal crane. So it appears that they may actually be adding some pedestal cranes inside of the. I'm guessing the nose cone section of the Starfactory would be tall enough for that, which would make sense lifting pieces like that and potentially.
I think those are small enough to even fit anywhere in the regular Starfactory.
Well, I guess it depends on what goes on top of these, how big the top
Well,
portion of it is.
the jib on those usually sits. The top of the jib is the top of the post. Actually,
Right.
it straddles the post, so the post is as high as your tallest point, basically. So
Yeah,
that only looks like it's 8, 16, 20 foot tall.
these would make sense to go underneath, like they reach underneath the bridge cranes. So that would be interesting to see if they actually install those in there. I feel like we would maybe see locations in the ground for those, but um, we'll be. I'm going to keep an eye on that because we'll probably see more of them come in, and it'll give us an idea of what they're going to
Well,
actually.
I'm wondering if those um, 5 foot square concrete pads you saw inside Star Factory Concrete might be for something like that.
Right. I mean, that would be a lot of them. There would be um, 4 times
There could,
15,
yeah,
120
but I
of them
mean, but
or
those could be
60 of them.
really handy in some of their workstations, right? You just have a jib crane with a 1 ton hoist on it, just
Yeah.
to pick a little piece up and work on it, and then get out of the way.
Um, I just noticed these in here. So at the beginning of this flyover, and I'll go back and show it. We actually posted about this earlier in the week on Twitter. So if you guys aren't following on Twitter, then you probably would not know this, and you should definitely hit that follow button if you haven't yet. So as Mauricio was doing his flyover, these wishbone objects were brought into Starbase, and it looks like, see if this is before they started moving them. Yes, because they were all the way over here. So there's 16 of them, and these go on the chopsticks. So this is, man, okay, I can't go into this yet. We're gonna have to take one more step before we go there. I just realized. We'll come back to that. So in that case, let's move up towards the the old BFC shed, and I'll just touch this stuff really quickly. So we have the United Rentals location, as always. A few less pieces of equipment in here than there was last week, but it's still pretty packed.
And now it goes all the way over to the container wall. So they've taken that whole end of the tracking station now instead of half of it.
It goes to which wall? This wall?
Up. Yep, that wall. See the man lift sitting right there? They had a bunch of stuff over there last week.
Interesting. So did they take this fence down then?
Part of it, yeah.
Well, I guess they got a lot of stuff under needing maintenance at all times. This is always a maze to go through, and now that I think about it, I almost missed something that I was asked about before, which was right back over here. That would be the. See if I can find it. Is it further over? We're looking for the hovercraft. Or whatever.
Hovercraft is in Maria's backyard, so you need to get a shot that has Maria's house in it.
It's slower. Okay.
Yeah, it's lower.
It's hard looking at these images trying to figure out where. So, hovercraft.
Right there.
I want that so bad. I'm not gonna lie. That looks amazing. That looks way cooler than the one that we've seen that Sam Patel rides around
That's
on.
it's not a quad ski.
I know.
So this, according to Maria, was to allow them to go out on the mud flats and not leave tracks and disturb the ground that upset the wildlife authority. And they got it. They got it a long time ago, and it's been sitting there for like a couple of years.
They didn't need it when SN11 blew up.
Or they decided that it didn't have enough capacity or something. Because Maria said it was like she knew about that thing a long time ago. I mean, they were out joyriding in it, and I don't know what its purpose is. But right now, I don't think you can get it out of there.
Probably not. Nope. I don't think you can. Well, yeah, I'm glad I didn't forget that because I know I'll get some mail later saying you forgot about me. Don't want that. So yeah, we still have a ton more conduit being brought over here. They've started some new small houses on the side. We usually don't like to show.
I think those are regular modular
homes, not tiny houses.
Tiny houses are to the left.
Yeah, and we have, as I mentioned, more conduit going along here, and I think that runs all the way over to.
It runs to the BFC area.
Yeah. So and this is another huge pile of dirt that I was talking about. They've been moving dirt in and out of here all week. So when they clear that space by the launch site, which is where we're going to next, I think they're bringing it here, but this looks like new dirt at the same time. But we've seen the trucks coming in and out of this area. So the conduit I'm talking about is right here. So this runs all the way through here.
So it runs those 4 boxes there. Yep, 4 boxes there. Runs under the street,
and then all the way down.
Yep, and runs into the middle of the tracking station.
Yeah, that's so the interesting thing that I was thinking when I first saw this is that they don't have permanent power in this building yet, and that this right here, which it's not, could have been a 2500 MT.
Come down. Come
What was that?
down. Come down. Slide down right there. There's your generator.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So I initially at work, I work with really large generators that we deliver to all of our facilities. So this initially looked like a 2,500 kilowatt generator, but it's not. There's no vents on the side of it, and it looks like these two may be powering the entire building right now, which is
Yep.
interesting. So
Yep,
these
looks
two
like
are powering both AC units and whatever power is in that building, which probably routes through this box right here, um, is all being powered by these two generators currently.
which corresponds to everything else on this site, where they've got generators scattered everywhere.
Yeah, and soon they won't have to have anywhere near as many generators, which is a nice thing because it improves their overall emissions. They're using, um, you know, cleaner energy, which is probably produced by natural gas, if I had to guess. And instead of using generators like this that run off diesel. All right.
Yeah,
So yeah,
everything there is diesel.
yeah, everything. And you can see this conduit, as I said, from this side going around, and it runs basically into that box. So as I said, these are probably the control boxes for the entire building, which is interesting. It makes me wonder what else they're going to be doing in there other than just storing Starlinks and lifting them into the box. I have a feeling there's a lot more happening in here than uh, what we're ever going to find out unless Elon just tells us. So it's been a while since I've invited him on the show. Elon, if you want to come on to the show next time and talk to us about what you guys got going on there, feel free to do so. And holy crap, I just realized something. So I thought that these pieces right here are just the ones for allowing them to transport boosters, right? Like
That could actually be a 4-wheel SPMT. I'm not sure.
well, so
Oh
they
no,
have
that
this is what they put in between the SPMTs when they have the booster
yeah.
transport stand on it. And so for the longest time, we thought that the ones that are outside of the ground fabrication building were actually for the wide bay, but now I just realized that that's what those are for. They are down here. So it looks like they are preparing to be able to move at least 2 boosters at a time, if that's what those are for.
Yep.
Okay. Glad we finally cleared that one up because I was really confused for a while on that. So I'm gonna keep us going since we are just about ready to swap over to the launch site. So actually, I'm just gonna go ahead and swap us over now.
While you do that, can I give a couple of
Like,
shout outs real fast?
yeah, go ahead.
Thanks. Jax was kind enough to donate 10 euros. She says to start a new wish list. So, Mauricio, you need to let us know what's next on that wish list. Paw Angel was kind enough to donate $10. Says Fiddly Bits Fund. And then Animal donated $5. Hovercraft Fund for easier picks from the mud flats. You all are so appreciated. Thank you so much for those.
And I don't think anybody's mentioned it, but we have a poll running from RGV in YouTube chat about what part of the site do you like the best?
Yeah,
I
there's a
think
lot.
I think the poll ended and the results were all of it is 47%, state 0, 41%, build site 9%, and somebody's favorite is Sanchez. I think that was you, Zach. Maybe no.
No, and I didn't respond on this one.
And he
I
did
went,
stage 0.
yeah,
Yeah, he
and I'm
did state 0, but I think Sanchez is number 2.
yeah. um, I realized I wanted to point this out. As some of you have probably seen this week, they started paying in this building. We had lots of memes floating around about it looking like a dairy cow. Took a very long time for them to get this front side painted for some reason. It looks like they're just using spray paint, so I'm not really sure why it took so long. But yeah, they're definitely painting it white. I think there is something in the PEA about the color of their buildings.
They
Yes.
have to be agreed upon colors, yes.
Yeah, so they probably, even though the wide bay is this color, I guess they, I don't know, no real reason. Obviously, it'll keep the building cooler. But other than that, I can't really think of any.
Well, the only thing I could think of is because if anybody has watched them paint this building, it is the bizarrest rig they're using. They've got like a man lift with like plastic over the whole bucket to cut down on all the spray. The only thing I can think of is they are concerned if there's starlings in the building about overspray getting inside the building.
That would make sense. Oh wait, what is this? Mauricio, you did have this. Look at this. All right.
That's what I was
I was
telling
looking
you.
for
We
this
got to
picture
show.
forever, and it's right here. So we do have a picture of
Yes.
the absorption column as it was loaded onto the trailer. I don't know if he has another one that maybe shows it from the side.
So this should be over at Sanchez on the parking area, and it should be them. Or maybe it's not Sanchez, but it's where they're strapping it down.
Yeah,
And
I was hoping there was another one.
You can't tell from this picture, but that truck's about 90 feet long.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Not 90 feet.
It's okay. It's okay. We're moving on. So
Yeah, it's like twice as long as a normal semi.
It's not this GV, is it? The one where, well, I don't know.
well, I need a poll. Well, it's not gonna be a poll. I'll just take like a quick one just in chat. You guys want to start at the? I'm not giving an option. We're starting at the tank farm. Less exciting. So
Do
let's
it.
start at the tank farm. So last week, if you guys saw we talked about this in a previous episode, but I also talked about it in my own as well. So they are what is that? They have started to add in the pipe work that's going to allow them to increase the amount of pumps that they have down here. So last week, um, they only had these two, and it looks like they've. I'm assuming the best way for them to do this would have been to cut it right here or right here, and then add in the rest. But it looks like they had already attached this side, and we're welding this one down. So the thing about this is that because they're doing this, they cannot test a booster or a starship using either any of these locations. So you have the starship pad, the booster pad, the starship pad, and then obviously the orbital launch mount. They cannot use those while this is happening. But what they can do, and what they did, is use this one only for test tanks. So by keeping this side of the tank farm active, they can use liquid nitrogen to do this test. But if they needed liquid oxygen, they just simply would not be able to do it. So um, I'm actually semi disappointed about this because I was hoping that they would at least bring Booster 8 out and start doing pressure testing before they started this, but that's not the case. So I don't know. It's interesting that all this is happening right now. And if you look back at the Sanchez site, which is something I skipped over on purpose at the beginning, that's not Sanchez. So sorry,
Black. Oh no.
no comment. So the
Black
the
screen.
the
I got a
trailer
sword
over here that I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, they have this really large manifold on the back, and you know, without even having to check the methane side of the tank farm, I kind of knew what this one was right away when I first saw it arrive, just because of how massive it is. Um, it's definitely part of the liquid oxygen side, and so we actually saw them bring a manifold to the launch site earlier last week, which is most likely the one that they were working on in this picture. And the one that we saw at the Sanchez site will go in between these 2 points and allow them to use these 3 pumps. So it's good to see them doing that. Oh, do we have some scrapage away of
Ooh,
something there? No, let's look at it from the ground.
let's look at it from the ground.
I am gonna get us onto a good ground image. No. All right.
Great.
So one thing you can see though, and Dave, maybe you can confirm this for me. So when they wrap this, it doesn't shrink. Like applying the wrap doesn't shrink the insulation in, right?
No.
No. So these are different sections of insulation. This would be temporary insulation that they would rip off and
Other way around. The black comes in as pre-insulated pipe, and the bare pipe later will get the white, and then probably a foam or fiberglass overlay, and then another plastic wrap on top of that.
So this is not done.
I don't think that's done.
Cool. All right, that makes sense.
That looks like it's raw pipe diameter or close to it.
Right, right. So it's just wrapped one time. So what they will do when they come in here, and I'm assuming that we're going to see this very, very soon, is they'll cut along this line and add in an additional manifold up top that will allow them to connect 2 additional heat exchangers. So the question is, if 2 is enough, because they have enough space for 4 of them. So what I find interesting is that currently, well, this is in shambles over here right now. But initially, last week or 2 weeks ago, they had 3 methane pumps active, and they were only using 2 heat exchangers. But they have 4 pumps, 4 heat exchangers. So I would assume that every pump they add here means they actually need a heat exchanger as well. So when they were using 3 pumps, I have a feeling one of them was offline and probably closed in, or else it doesn't really make sense because you would reduce the amount of work each pump has to do by keeping it the same. So you're pumping at the same rate overall, but each pump is doing less. So if you were like overworking them for some reason, then this would be a way to reduce the amount of work each one's doing. But if you're trying to actually pump more of it faster, you're going to also have to cool more of it faster. So I think that these 2 heat exchangers are going to be needed. Obviously, they have the pipe that's been here forever waiting for this is the liquid nitrogen pipe that comes into the bottom of the heat exchanger. So they have that waiting. And on this side, we haven't really seen any actual preparations for that yet. But what you can see is that they've started to insulate this heat exchanger right here. And of course, I'm gonna have a ground image of that one for sure. That shows it from the side. Yo, honestly, guys, when by the time the show's over, I have the biggest headache usually because it is a lot of effort going back and forth through all of this stuff in order to like get it quickly. Um, and truthfully, the days where we're going over images as Mauricio's importing them, like when he does a flyover right before the show, those are almost easiest because I don't have to do all the background work. But I think it runs a lot smoother. But we got a ground image right here for you guys. You can see the pumps or the heat exchanger after it's been insulated. So we got ourselves I'm not going to do it. A pig in a blanket right here, and they've wrapped this up. This is like kind of a low priority thing because truthfully, these things get covered up in ice pretty much immediately, anyways. And by covering it, obviously you're preventing that from happening, and you're keeping more of the actual cooling potential within the within the heat exchanger and losing less nitrogen as a result. So it's interesting that they started with this one, considering that if they do add um, more of these heat exchangers, they'll have to do it from this side, which may require a little bit of. No, I guess they don't need any welding. But yeah, it looks like they're going to be adding them from this side. And you know what?
Tell us.
Huh.
What, GB?
Am I really going to go all the way back here? I saw some pieces that look very familiar at the Sanchez site a little bit ago.
Uh-oh. Rabbit hole.
This is
Let's see
why
if I
he
can
is
find them really quick.
CSI Starbase. Or we all
See
are.
if I quickly do this.
What is that? Okay, never mind. Is that Stumpy's new cage?
This right here.
Those are from bigger tanks. Those are from
Are you
much bigger
sure?
tanks, I think.
Oh, from the ground, when you're close up to it, it looks they look bigger, but he's closer to it. I don't know. They
I
look the
think
same to me.
Yeah, I looked at those. I don't remember how big those are. I think they're bigger than the kettle boilers.
Maybe it's too big.
I think the ones in the kettle boilers have vertical ends, and the ones you were looking at had wedged out ends.
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm comparing them both right now, and you're right. Well, that's okay. But they will definitely be doing the other four, and I mean, I'm assuming they'll add the other two. But the other option is that they could just they could add them. Why isn't it switching? That was weird. Oh, okay, we are switched. They could just add them back here instead. So there is a pipe running right here, which is how the liquid nitrogen enters into the rear two kettle boilers. So that would actually be easier because it wouldn't require them to cut into this. So,
Well,
uh,
they'd still have to. They'd
well,
still have to cut the cap off the right hand end
yeah,
of it and loop it around.
that messes up the liquid oxygen side because then the liquid oxygen side has to come back under. Or oh no, you have to tee off the liquid oxygen side to go around to reach those actually.
No, you go straight down the end. Nope, come straight down right there to the right hand end of the straight line, right there. Put an elbow going upwards and just run into the back two tanks.
Well, the problem with that is
I'm sorry, for the liquid oxygen input. For the output, you would probably come around the other way.
this is the output.
The bottom one is, yeah.
Yeah. So you don't want to tap this one into here because this is already pre-chilled. So you have to do something over here to get it back there, which is going to be really interesting actually. Matter of fact, this manifold could probably wrap around this tank.
That's what
and
I was
come
saying.
back
Is
here.
the upper manifold can go from the down the right side. The lower manifold is the one that's going to be the problem. The one on the bottom of the kettle boiler that goes out to the launch site.
This is that one, huh? This is liquid nitrogen, not sorry, this is liquid oxygen down into the main pipe. I don't think this
No,
is actually
no,
nitrogen.
go back down a little. Liquid oxygen goes down the middle. See the elbow right there? That
Oh,
one
this is the big one
it's
right
down the
here.
middle. Nitrogen is on the left. Yep,
Okay, so that is nitrogen that goes into the bottom then.
yep.
So similar to this nitrogen pipe that comes out right here, that's what that one is.
Yeah, and if you look at this, we've got potentially 4 methane and 8 oxygen kettle boilers, which holds to our 2-to-1 volume ratio that goes through everything.
Yeah, this is
And
you
I
know
think
what?
what they did is they couldn't get 8 pumps in there. So if you look, the oxygen pumps are like twice the capacity, twice the horsepower of the methane pumps. So bigger pumps, but not as many for the locks. But 8 kettle boilers because they're all the kettle boilers look like they're identical.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, with having this many kettle boilers for just 2 pumps, adding 2 more makes me feel like they need all 4 of these, at least 2 of them. But uh, I don't want to harp on this too much because we have other exciting things to talk about still.
Not more exciting things.
I'm just gonna check down through this area really quick. Huh. Got more work happening at the front of these tankers or these storage tanks, which is interesting. Gonna have to keep an eye on that to see what they're actually adding in there. Um,
Okay, I got
oh,
something for you. I got something for you right there, top center.
these new.
Nope,
Look it.
top center,
Top center.
below, right there, below your cursor. Nope, down, down. There is a pump there that we haven't seen before that I don't recognize at
This one?
least. Right there, that one.
Uh,
That's pumping cryo for something. I'm not quite. I think
I
that's
thought that was.
nitrogen.
It is nitrogen, yeah.
Anyway, I just don't remember a pump there. It's been there a while. I don't think we've called it out before.
Okay, so your nitrogen line actually comes up from right here, and then it travels above the liquid oxygen line, which is the bottom one.
Yep.
Or sorry, liquid methane, and then the nitrogen line comes in here, and so this kettle boiler is different than the liquid oxygen side because I believe they just let that fill up via gravity. But this one there is more controlled. They control the pressure on the inside, and they probably control the fluid level as a
I don't know.
result of that.
Like I said, I just caught that when I was looking for the plumbing for the tank above it, which
Yeah.
is the gaseous methane reclamation condenser for the tank farm.
This is a pretty advanced topic. I don't want to get too deep into it because it's like this is a super deep dive on this one, like how that's actually used. But sorry, I'm just noticing that I just don't think these are new. I've never seen those before, and these ones coming off, and this one coming off too.
Like
So
I said, there's changes here. Yeah, we haven't
yeah,
dug
they're
deep here.
definitely not done with that tank farm. That's for sure. And mark my words, there will be something right here for sure. For sure. Just not sure what it is yet. They could be setting up for it right now, though. It looks like um, something will be there soon. But yeah, sorry, we get kind of carried away when they're in this area because it's never ending changes happening. As you guys can see, they've from this angle they've gotten almost all of the berm, excuse me, all of the berm completed, other than this little portion right here. I have a feeling they're going to uh, will at least continue all the way down here for sure. I believe they've already started preparing that, and so I think we should see that soon. I also believe that unless they put booster 8 right here, which I can't really see a reason to do that, that we'll see this leave site soon. But if that happens, we'll have much forewarning because they'll have to bring in a special crane in order to get that out. Um, sorry, I'm just scrolling through here. Dirty tanks. What else do we got? That is just about all on this side, which is good because we have 20 minutes left to talk about the launch site, the actual launch pad. Let me swap over those
And
images.
take questions. And also throw out a shout out to Julian Richards, who donated £10. And he says, a bit towards the next flyover. Thanks, Julian. We appreciate that.
And also, I wanted to say, I have the wallpapers ready to go.
Yeah.
If y'all can get us to 500 likes, I can drop it the moment we do. So
Shouldn't be too hard. There's about 580 of you guys in here. So if you guys can help us get up to 500 likes, we would appreciate you very much. I think we're already at just about 400. So we got 100 left to go. If you got arthritis, use your toe.
Use your
Um,
toe.
I've never seen people have arthritis in both their hands and toes at the same time. So just like break out that little big toe, the big toe. Usually probably gonna be the easiest one to hit the mouse button with. So that's what I recommend. Um, continuing on, I'm gonna keep an eye on this number, see how we do. I'm sure Mauricio will keep an eye on it as well.
And the
So
OLM is gunmetal gray.
yeah, finally repainted again after our explosion event.
And I am impressed. They have got their process down for repainting post-launch launch tables every time now. Because they only
Holy
did
crap!
that in like
I
a
hope
week.
that's not a thing.
What you mean?
I really hope that's
Oh,
not a
yeah.
thing. I want to get a really clear up close one of this. So
Well, now you can because Mauricio's got a 61 megapixel camera.
this is the side I want. So you guys can see that most of it's been repainted. There is this like tiny little sliver right here that they haven't finished. They even did all of the stairway rails
They
and
did
everything. All of it.
Everything.
That is a lot.
No
when I
moving
was out
around.
there, it actually seemed like they were actually repainting it again or adding a second coat to it. Or so not sure what was going on with that, but
Couldn't hurt. Couldn't hurt. I mean, it came off rather easily. I think I'm gonna sub in some ground shots here soon. Um, yeah, might as well do that right now. Doesn't look quite as good from the ground, but you could see that the legs look good for sure.
She does have
Um,
some nice gams.
yeah, they're really smooth now. I mean, they looked pretty bad when they first had that happen. And I think we're painting stairs right here,
Yes.
maybe
Or sanding him. What is it?
something.
Angle
Yeah,
grinding?
the stairs were really rusty as well before too, so that looks good. You guys can see the hooks hanging down right here for lifting up the maintenance platform. There's another one right there.
Why are those two pipes not fully
One
painted? It
right
goes
there.
gray to black and oddly. Right there.
This one.
Yeah.
I guess they were in the process of doing this
Maybe he's
one.
there right
It
there.
Well, first of all, the fact that they painted this is weird because this is
Right?
the cryo tube and it's just insulation, and that I don't
Aesthetics.
like it because it makes me think that they're not going to cover these. But um,
But weren't you
I
saying
think
that
this
paint is also an insulation?
So
This fish
there's a
supply?
good there's the picture. There's a good picture of the black permanent pre-delivered cryo insulation, and then the white overwrapped hand installed, like on the elbows and stuff, where they over welds or over elbows where they have to post insulate it.
mm, I mean,
Do any on any insulated pipe. I mean, we've got steam pipes that work that are the exact same way. The long runs are pre covered, and then everywhere there's a weld or an elbow, it's left open, and they come back in and put insulation over those areas.
right. Yeah, I guess the black stuff held up pretty well in that explosion. Everything else did not. So yeah, I don't know. I'm still holding out hope that they will in fact cover this stuff. It's they got lucky with everything up here, so all of this was wrapped, and they didn't really have too much damage up there. At least off of what it looks like. I think something happened at the bottom of this one because they have it wrapped really funny.
Other than all of the doors on their cabinets got blown in.
Yeah, all the cabinets got replaced. So you guys can see this one didn't get replaced. They left that one, but all the other ones got replaced. So the sorry, just returning to that aerial view. So the big news of the week is not, however, the launch mount, in my opinion.
What?
Sorry, I'm just looking down at this. I've been trying to figure this out for a while, and I can't tell. I think this is just a
Runoff.
little. Yeah, I can't tell if this is actually sloped on. Yeah, you can see it actually, the line
Yeah.
going through the middle. So this
And
is
the slope.
basically just to collect all the runoff to stop it from going into the wetlands. And I have a feeling that at some point where this ground vent is, that they may put like a catch basin in order to not have any runoff come down into this area.
Oh,
But
when they freeze that whole ground area, yeah? There's like
yeah,
cryo all over that whole area.
some people were upset
Well,
about that, but they've been
Yeah.
doing that for like
I don't
they've
think there
been
was that
doing
much
that for a
cryo there. I
very
think
long
that
time.
was just water ice. That was actual snow.
But
Yeah,
because they were blowing the cold cryo on it, no?
Yeah, but it
yeah,
was
you're
floating
just
across. It was floating. The cryo was blowing across the air above the ground and condensing water out as snow, and it was piling up on the ground.
So
yeah,
you're saying it's
caused that
okay
to
because it's
go.
water molecules?
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
water. It's
They,
like
they they've had ice in Brownsville before. Remember the
They sure
winter, two
have.
winters ago?
Poor turtles.
Poor turtles.
That's right.
yeah.
Sorry, GB. We digress.
No, you're fine. I just want to clear that up because sometimes people like try and turn things that we talk about here into a negative. And this vent has been here since the very beginning of the launch mount testing ever starting. So it's been visible that there's been a ground vent here forever. And the only thing that we haven't had is a flyover mid test in order to see what that actually looks like. But they have cameras all over this place, and this is not a secret. So, as I mentioned, if this was an issue, it probably would have been addressed in the
Well,
PEA.
I've seen the frost on the ground just standing on the dunes and looking towards it. I mean, it was definitely no secret.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty obvious. So, um, yeah, I'll just leave it there.
I guess I might as well clear up some things on that. Some images were circulating of the aerial images attached to that story, and yeah, we're not associated in any way possible with that, with the negativity towards SpaceX. Just wanted to throw it out there.
Yeah, that tends to happen to me a lot. Actually, people use my words and like change them into other things to make a point, but it's okay. As long as everybody else in here knows that that's not what was meant by them, and
Well,
obviously, you know,
we also know you. You're not like that. None of us are
it is
like
what
that.
it is.
And we know your absolute hate for SpaceX and everything Starbase
That's
related.
me. They
That's
just
why you spend all your days and minutes and moments that are free from your regular job here at Starbase.
Oh man. Anyways, let's move on to the chopsticks, guys, because we're approaching the end of the show.
We
And in
are.
my opinion, this is the most exciting update of the week. So right now in this image, you guys can see. that there is a single piston installed right here on the middle of the chopsticks. So we got a little basket in the way, but you can see it right there. It's pretty sizable. So there are other mounting locations. There's 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6 on the other side. Wait, I feel like I'm missing some.
No, that's it.
Yeah,
Those-
so there's 6. Okay.
No, there's 2, 1, 1, 1, 2. There's five areas, and the outer 2 get 2.
2, 1, 1, 1, 2.
2.
So um, the reason we bring that up is because let's see, let me get a good angle of it. So many pictures.
I love that. The problem is you have too many pictures.
And
Mauricio,
I
keep
and
doing
I,
what
I
you're doing.
absolutely disagree. Mauricio was apologizing for taking way too
Right?
many pictures last night.
Right.
I think that is absolutely wrong. You can never take too many
Thank
pictures.
you.
Nope.
That's what I've been saying too. I totally agree with you. Better to have too much content than not enough. And there's
um,
no such thing as too much.
so just really quickly to just move through this since we only have about 10 minutes. If you guys see at the bottom of here, we have an accumulator, and up top, this would be the um, basically the air spring, right?
It's just a gas supply
Reservoir.
for the accumulator. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry, the actual gas supply for the accumulator. I
And if you
keep thinking of
notice
that as the
where
air
we got
spring.
that COPV from, recognize the label on it? It's the same ones they use in Starship.
Yeah. So these would be very hard to notice laying around. Actually, if I'm looking in the, I'm not going to do it right now because I want to keep working through this. But later, I'll probably go look through these aerials and see if I can find whether or not all that stuff is here or not. But we have one piston, or sorry, accumulator to go with the actual piston. So, and as of this morning, we've also seen, thanks to Lab Padre, and give me 1 second to figure out what I did with it. Okay, there we go. Um, so we actually were able to see another object being lifted up here, which is not a piston. So this one is actually, would you call it like a spring, like an
Well,
air
I'm
spring
guessing
damper?
it might be a gas spring. I don't know. Because it's smooth on the bottom, and I can't tell if got a port facing the cherry picker or not. But it doesn't. It's not a tie bar cylinder like the other one was, so it's a completely different design thing. So I'm guessing maybe a gas spring or something.
Right. So this would actually absorb the force as as the booster is landing on top. So the other one would lift it up, and this one, once it's lifted up, is when it will fill with gas, correct? And so, and as
Yeah,
the
I'm
booster
not
is
sure.
landing
Like
on
I say,
top,
I'm not
we're just
without getting
guessing
a
here.
nameplate on it. I'd be very hard pressed to figure out exactly what this is. The fact that it's retracted says it's not pressurized right now. Um, it could just be a viscous damper. It could be a gas spring. We're going to need to get a lot more pictures of these chopsticks. You hear, Mauricio?
Yeah, and so if we look at them like from the front of here again, the that spring that we were looking at, oops, in the previous image would be mounted in this location. And so, um, both of these are the same on either side. So I'm assuming that will be two of them, but it is possible that only one of them is the gas spring and the other one could actually attach to this and be a piston as well. So, looking at the middle one where the piston is attached to, I don't really see any. I guess what I don't see is what attaches it onto the actual.
So this whole chopstick, the right hand chopstick, has none of the mounting hardware on it for the
Right.
pistons, the rings, or anything. The left hand chopstick, if you look closely, you can see the eye on the end of the bar from some of the other photos that are from a little closer center.
Okay, so there we go.
Bar.
We have this eye right here, which has been attached, and I do not see another one. So unless they are going to add another one on, I'm guessing that this is going to be another piston right here.
Well, but they would need an eye no matter what. So yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Hold on. Where's the one on this side though?
It's right behind the arm of the. Yeah.
Exactly. So this one is not all the way up. Wait, is that it right there?
Yeah, it's where it would be. Yep, right there.
So what have you located, the eye or the round thing?
Well, we're looking at these lifting eyes right here. So
that's where the pin from the cylinder would end up seating.
Attached to,
Okay.
yeah. So
And it works out.
here.
We were talking about that earlier. That ends up where, if you look where the holes in the arm and the holes in the rail are, they're almost directly over each other. So they've put the rail in the hole in the rail way off to one side of the rail, so it lines up.
Oh, interesting. And are these fan things new? These edges?
No, they've been there. They've been there for a fair while. We've known forever that something was going there,
Mm-hmm.
and we've just been waiting. I think those were put on when it was on the ground, even.
Oh, really? They've been there that long?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, these were installed on the ground. If you look at flyover images from
Way back when.
39A complex, you can see these are actually visible on the ground
Yeah,
currently.
the fan things is what I was talking about. Okay. I'm a keen observer of the obvious, apparently. Not.
Oh, this is going to take a while. This is going to, I mean, they've only done
There's another week of work there minimum, probably just on that one
just for
arm.
this
But
one.
Dave,
Yeah.
they have to do a static fire on Wednesday.
Yeah. So
No, that's all I was saying. That was it.
this doesn't stop static firing.
Yeah, they'll be fine. It's mainly for the
And which one are they going to static fire, Indy? Are they going to static fire S24? Are they going to static fire a
gotta
booster?
be
Booster and
no
24.
boosters.
You don't think booster?
Not yet. Next week?
Yeah. It's,
It could be
they'd have.
late.
There's too much. Yeah, they'd have to cryo it first. No, boosters are probably mid-August at the earliest.
Really? You think so? Mid-August? Okay, so 24 it
At
is.
the earliest. At the earliest.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, the earliest. They passed my July date when they blew out the Booster 7 incident. Blew out that, whatever you want to call it, the spin prime issue.
It was just another step in the experimental process.
Right. It taught them more things that they needed to know.
This is interesting. Does this piston rotate around this axis? Like
It's a trunnion mount, so it pivots on the two holes in the top. Yeah, there's basically an axle that runs through it. It doesn't really, but that's what it behaves like. Did you
guys
get
thought the chopsticks looked crazy before? They're about to.
Zach? Did you get the picture I gave you of the engineering drawing of that piston?
No.
But you know what we did get? We got a $20 donation from 55 Chevy guy Steve, and he says a little fuel cost assistance. Match if you can, please. So there's a 4-minute. I guess it's a. What's the word I'm looking for?
4 minutes left
Challenge?
to get to.
Challenge. Thank you.
600.
Challenge. Excuse me. It's a 4-minute challenge. So get your matching in now.
And we are almost at 500 likes, so maybe we'll be able to drop that wallpaper. Maybe not. Maybe not. So I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything else on here because there's always a
Zach in
yes.
live comms.
I'm gonna save that one.
Can get this is not to scale. I did this real quick at work on the manufacturer's website. Just had to crank me out a typical drawing, but you can that is what one of these trunnion mount cylinders is.
All right, I suppose I'll show it really quick.
Trunnion mount. It just looks like a normal piston, no?
Well, trunnion mount means it's got pins sticking out that it can pivot on.
Oh.
These right here.
Yep. So you can buy these with the trunnion on the top end, the bottom end, or in a ring in the middle, depending on what kinematics you want for where your cylinder has to center a pivot would have to be for your particular operation. So this particular one, Spoil Sport is already into me because I just showed him a solution to a problem he didn't know he had with a trunnion mount piston. But yeah, these are fairly common in industrial equipment where you need to have a piston that has one axis of compliance.
Interesting. Let me see if I can find one more angle of this before we're getting close to the end of the show. See if I can see it from here, in between the. No, that was a fail. Let's see. We
It's
got one
called
more
the
chance.
scenic route. We're going to the scenic route. Don't you worry. Strap in, kids. Ooh, we got a $10 donation from Peanut. He said, great stream today, as always, y'all. Thanks, Peanut.
And we have a link from RGV for your wallpaper, folks.
Ooh, I'm getting that now because I want that wallpaper. I know Zach's going to say that he was the inspiration for the single starship that would be perfect for your phone, but I'd like to think that I had something to do
And
with it.
thank you to the 518 people that liked our stream so far today. We only need 60 more people in the stream to hit that thumbs up.
All right. Well, with that, I think that we've pretty much wrapped everything up. I have kind of circled back around through the launch pad and just make sure that there's no other major updates that I wanted to mention to you guys. But I think we're all finished up here. So with that, I will do my sign off. Thank you guys so much for joining us this week. I really have a lot of fun every week just being here with you guys and having the chance to show off all these photos that Mauricio takes every week and kind of give a little bit more insight on what actually is going on at Starbase. So I hope you guys all enjoy that. And yeah, see you guys next week. Indy?
Oh, my turn. Thanks everybody for coming. Thanks everybody in the chat. Thank you all for your donations. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for your subscriptions to Patreon and to YouTube. And we hope that you will make it next week for episode 33 because it should be a good one. All things are happening in, where am I? Starbase. And I'm excited. Dave?
Thank you, everybody, for joining the stream. We are up at 524 likes now. We're getting there. Come back and join us next week. Keep an eye out if you're on the RGV Discord and you're a Patreon for his early preview whenever he goes out for aerial or ground photos, and also watch for his summary stream that should be out probably tomorrow, I suspect.
Yes, and that Patreon thing you were talking about is called Show and Tell. So he'll do a show and tell every night that he goes out and does an aerial or a ground photo day. He's kind enough to share those photos with us early and give us a preview. And last but not least, Mauricio.
Like Indian Source said, thanks everybody for the support and the super chats and all the patrons that made the new camera possible. And just you can't support, you can just like the stream or share the stream with somebody else, just so that they can take a look at these streams. And we want to make sure that they get popular. And I got excited right now when we reach 600 viewers. I hope one day we get to be at 1,000 viewers at one time. It's just I feel like we can get there. But other than that, I mean, we don't have Grandpa Joe here to do a sign off, but who wants to do it? Indian Star, you want to try it?
Oh gosh. Miko separation, something something. Love you, bye. Does that count? Does that count?
This week. Thank you guys for being here. Bye.